Douluo, starting from the spirit of time worm, this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 376. What expression would that be? Yan Jin wanted to find some higher grade healing medicine from her ring, but found that her ring was missing. After hesitating for a moment, he looked at Xiao Yan and asked, "Where is my ring? You saved me, and I will repay you, but there are some secrets in my ring that are not passed down by my sect. I hope you can return." Before Xiao Yan could answer, she continued, "Do you have a sect? If not, you can come to our Yan sect. Then you will have no problem learning the exercises in the ring, although, according to the sect's rules, some of them can only be learned by people with specific identities, but that doesn't matter. If they are from the same sect, I can help you solve the issue of identity." Yan saw that Xiao Yan was young and his cultivation seemed to be not weak, and she didn't want him to be buried, so she kindly suggested it. Upon hearing about Yanlan sect, Xiao Yan's face suddenly turned cold, and he said coldly, "Don't mention anything about Yanlan sect in front of me. I can't bear this blessing. Your Neji is not with me either. When Mr. Yuan sent you to me, you only had a black robe." Yan was ashamed and annoyed. Xiao Yan said that he only had a black robe on his whole body, so it was obvious that he was completely exposed. At the same time, he was also angry at Xiao Yan's attitude towards Yanlan sect. Obviously I have good intentions. Did the Yanlan sect provoke you? Yan said no more. Xiao Yan thought for a while and said, "Don't leave this cave before you unlock the seal of the Amethyst Winged Lion King. Now the monsters in the mountains and forests are looking for you everywhere. Also, if the Monkey King comes over, I hope you won't irritate it. It is a warcraft after all, and I don't know what its relationship is with the Amethyst Winged Lion King." The relationship between the two was a bit stiff at first, but as they got along later, they became more familiar again. Among the microorganisms suspended in the air, some sparkle with starlight that is so faint that it is almost invisible. These spiritual insects used for surveillance passed on the message. Sitting by the stream and fishing with a fishing rod, the ape man received the message in the cave and raised his right hand to stroke his monocle. TSK. There's no progress at all. Why doesn't Yan cook? Well, it seems that Xiao Yan has to be seriously injured by her before she will take care of Xiao Yan. The little Amethyst Winged Lion King walked slowly to his side. The lion's face was full of doubts. "What are you planning? Is it the mission of the main body?" "No, it's just a little bit of my own bad taste. It will be very interesting when the time comes." Amon, the ape man, curled his lips and smiled. "What? Bad taste? You guess it's boring." The little Amethyst Winged Lion King showed a lack of interest. It looked at the fish basket next to the ape male. It was empty. He shook his head with some disappointment and went to catch fish in the river. The ape man suddenly slammed the boom, and a huge thing came out as the fishing line broke through the water. Sharp teeth, sharp claws, hard scales. "This is a huge crocodile." Wind and thunder gathered under Mr. Ape's feet, and electric arcs surged from the wooden stick in his hand. It swung violently in the air, and the huge crocodile was instantly cut into two pieces. Blood spilled from the air, and the crocodile fell to the ground with a roar. "I can't catch fish. I just don't want to catch them. My goal is bigger prey." The little Amethyst Winged Lion King returned from the river, shook his body and shook off the water drops on his body. "Isn't it really because I can't catch anything?" The male ape lost interest in talking to it and turned around to leave. "Hey, your fish basket!" Little Amethyst Winged Lion King shouted from behind. The monkey didn't want to talk. Xiao Yan went out to practice fighting with monsters, and Yan was the only one left in the cave. A group of blind crows flew in, scaring Yan so much that she quickly hid behind a rock. She was relieved until she confirmed that they were just a group of ordinary beasts. The crows were flying and circling over the cave, making a noisy quacking noise. They came to Yan's head. Yan found that something wet and sticky seemed to fall on the top of her head. She stretched out her right hand, touched it, and looked at it. A pile of bad poop. He was stunned for a moment, His head seemed to be rusty, and he looked up one after another. Yan Yan screamed ah, and she ran away everywhere, but she could never get rid of the circling crowd of crows. Finally, she stopped as if resigned to her fate, and looked at the group of crows, her eyes seeming to spit out fire. Facing the angry and helpless Yan Yan, the crows cast a mocking look and then walked away. This time Yan Yan truly experienced what it means to be teased by a shrimp while diving, or bullied by a dog when a tiger falls down. The sticky bad droppings on her body made Yan Yan feel uncomfortable all over. Although Xiao Yan repeatedly warned her not to leave the cave before leaving, she still decided to go out and take a bath. There shouldn't be a big problem. There is a pool at the entrance of the cave. If you are careful, you won't encounter monsters. With this thought in mind, Yan Yan took a bath in the pool. When Yan Yan entered and exited the Warcraft Mountains, she had always relied on her tyrannical strength as a Dao Huang, and did not know much about the survival knowledge of some low-level mercenary. She ignored that some monsters have a very sensitive sense of smell, and can distinguish the smell of humans in the air after the amethyst-winged Lion King issued the killing order. All monsters were particularly sensitive to human smells. If they found anything, they would definitely come and check it out. Yan Yan's luck seemed to be particularly good. Not a single monster came over. The Ape King, who had been guarding the periphery, had no choice but to catch a third-level magic beast himself. After parasitizing it, it played the role of the attacker on the cliff above the waterfall. The little purple crystal-winged Lion King stared at the parasitized third-level wind wolf hiding in the bushes and was extremely puzzled. He said to the Ape King beside him, "I don't understand your motives. This doesn't seem to have a very obvious promoting effect on Xiao Yan's strength improvement." "I said it. It's just because it's interesting." The Ape King smiled and explained, "If Xiao Yan and Yan Yan really had something here, do you think Yan Shan would let him marry Yan Yan? For various reasons, it's possible Yan Shan is already Amon, due to his personality." The little purple crystal-winged Lion King didn't understand some of Amon's plans and didn't know that Yan Shan had been parasitized. "Definitely do it," it said for sure. The ape lord stroked his monocle. He just finished the 3-year agreement, divorced Nalan Yanran, and then turned around to marry Yan Yan. "Isn't this very interesting? What do you think Nalan Yanran's expression will be? What will Xiao Meng's expression be?" Hearing the description of the Ape Lord, the little purple crystal-winged Lion King couldn't help but show his expectation. "Well, it does sound interesting, hehe." The two beasts looked at each other and laughed sinisterly. Chapter 377 Xiao Yan and -039 S Crisis. Xiao Yan returned to the cave carrying a huge wild boar. Yao Chen said that the ancient ruler alone had weakened the weight-bearing effect brought by his fighting spirit suppression, and he had to increase the weight, so he did not allow Xiao Yan to use the ring, and asked him to carry the prey back. Yan Yan was sitting on a rock, holding her cheeks with both hands, looking at the rock wall above her head boredly. Seeing Xiao Yan coming back, she immediately went to meet him and said with some joy, "You are back." The group of crows today scared her. This time it was crows. What if it was a monkey that came back? Unconsciously, she had become somewhat dependent on the handsome boy in front of her, and she felt safe only when he returned to the cave. "I'm back." Xiao Yan showed a hearty smile. Yan Yan suddenly realized that she was a bit like a wife welcoming her husband back from hunting, and she couldn't help but pause with a blush on her face. Yan Yan, what are you thinking about? Her heart was like a deer. Ups and downs. She took a deep breath and tried to adjust her mentality. "What's wrong with you? Is your injury recurring?" Xiao Yan asked with concern. When he saw Yan Yan's expression was not right. Yan Yan's mentality, which had been adjusted with great difficulty, suddenly exploded again. "Ah. Hey, it's good to be young. Hehe." In the bone inflammation ring, Yao Chen's soul body laughed evilly. Yao Chen himself was somewhat disrespectful to the elderly, and although Amon's parasitism did not completely control him, it would bring subtle influences, and this side of his personality was magnified under this influence. Weight training and the like were all excuses. He deliberately created such a scene for Xiao Yan. At this moment, a wolf howl suddenly sounded outside the cave, and the wolf howl was accompanied by the fluctuation of fighting spirit. Obviously, the monster that came was very strong. At least not a small fighter like Xiao Yan could match. Both of them changed their expressions. Xiao Yan frowned and whispered, "How could it be? I clearly applied powder to cover the smell on my body." At this time, Yan lowered her head, like a little girl who made a mistake, and said hesitantly, "I'm sorry, I went out to take a bath today." Xiao Yan said to her dissatisfiedly, "Stupid, don't you know that the monsters all over the mountain are looking for you now? Some monsters are very sensitive to smells, especially at this time. Once they smell the smell of humans, they will definitely come to check." Alas, stupid woman, you really killed me. Yan was in a high position, and no one dared to talk to her like this for a long time. Being accused by a big boy like this, she was also a little annoyed. The pride in her heart did not allow her to escape, and she immediately responded, "I will lead it away. Everyone does their own thing. Don't worry, I won't implicate you." She knew that in her current situation, doing this was tantamount to committing suicide, but it was better to die alone than with two people. She didn't think that the little fight next to her could fight against the powerful monster that was about to come. "Why are you making trouble? I'll lead it away. Stay here." Xiao Yan grabbed her shoulders and shouted in an unquestionable tone. As he said that, he rushed out immediately. Yan felt empty in her heart, as if she was about to lose something important. This feeling made her helpless and confused. If because of her own mistakes, this big boy who saved her, cared about her, and took care of her died, she would never forgive herself in her life. Yan was extremely worried, while silently reciting the fake name given by Xiao Yan in her heart. "Come on, you big stupid dog, I'm here." The roar of the young man came. The wolf howl that was originally approaching gradually moved away, and Yan's panic in her heart became worse. 1 minute passed, 2 minutes passed, an hour passed. Yan never came back. Yan was so anxious that she almost cried. "Damn monster, wolf, right? If Yan has any accident, I will definitely kill your whole family." Yan was furious. After a long time, some strange footsteps sounded, and Yan was nervous. This sound that was neither human nor human, messy, and irregular, made her think of the Haon, a monster that left a huge shadow in her heart. Holding the knife she usually used for meals, she was ready to kill herself at any time. It was not the Haon who came in, but Xiao Yan. He was covered in blood and stumbled when he walked, which made the sound a little strange. The monster that attacked Xiao Yan was very measured and controlled his injuries just right. As soon as Xiao Yan entered the cave, he fell forward. Yan hurried forward to pick him up, but when she was distracted, she forgot that she still had a knife in her hand. The short knife stabbed into Xiao Yan's chest. Fuck. The Amons who were watching the fun of the spirit insects parasitic on the microorganisms in the cave air were stunned. The ape king who was pinching glasses shuddered and crushed his monocle. Yan was even more stunned, at a loss. "Fuck you, murder." Xiao Yan was awakened by the pain. I'm sorry. Yan quickly pulled out the dagger. The dagger was pulled out, and a blood arrow immediately marked the wound. Xiao Yan fainted again. Yao Chen, little purple crystal winged lion king, ape king, isn't it dead? Little purple crystal winged lion king muttered. The main body will kill us. Being fooled by Yan's clumsy actions, Amon the ape finally couldn't sit still and jumped off the cliff into the cave. Even if there was no benefit, he had to have some fun, which didn't mean that the clone would ignore the interests of Amon. Seeing Amon the ape breaking into the cave, Yan's eyes widened, and a trace of despair emerged in her heart. She wanted to commit suicide, but when she thought that, if she committed suicide now, Yan would also die, she hesitated for a moment. Yan gritted her teeth and made the decision to give Xiao Yan a simple treatment, even if she had to endure humiliation, and then lure Haon away from the cave. Yan protected Xiao Yan in front of her, turned her back to ape the ape, took out the healing medicine Xiao Yan prepared for her, and hastily stuffed it into his mouth. She hurriedly sprinkled the powder for blood coagulation and external injury treatment on the claw marks and knife wounds on his chest. Then she put Xiao Yan on the ground and walked towards Ape the ape at the entrance of the cave with some determination. Worried that the ape lord would hurt Xiao Yan, Yan suppressed her shame and tore open her robe, revealing a large area of white. Her body was shaking. She felt sad for her impending misfortune and secretly prayed that Xiao Yan could escape this disaster and live well. To her surprise, the ape lord didn't even look at her, but walked quickly to Xiao Yan, skillfully gave Xiao Yan more effective treatment, wrapped him up with bandages, and tied a beautiful bow at the end. A sentence suddenly popped up in Yan's mind. The ape lord has no sexual interest in you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 378. Xiao Yan decides to go to Yunlin sect to propose marriage. Yan realized that this might be the ape Xiao Yan had mentioned. In fact, she had wanted to meet this ape for a long time. After all, her ring was still in his hands. It contained the skills that only the master of Yunlin sect and his descendants could study, and it could not be lost. However, the ape master had not come over these days, as if he had disappeared. There is a 4th grade healing medicine in my ring. Yan shouted to the ape master Amon. The ape master was a little unsure whether it was appropriate for Yan to take care of Xiao Yan. The stab made him panic. After thinking for a while, his nature of having fun prevailed. He shook his head and refused to give Xiao Yan the 4th grade healing medicine. If he got better so quickly, how could Yan cook? And how could an accident happen? If Yan wanted to make a mistake, she had to do something wrong and bear the consequences herself. Otherwise, she would not be facing the aggrieved Yan Zhi, but the murderous Yan. The ape master calmly placed the upgraded version of spring desire powder refined by Xiao Yan in the seasoning pile. Yao Chen and the bone inflammation ring sensed his action, frowned, and showed a somewhat obscene smile, whispering to himself, Xiao Yanzi, the master and the ape master have done their best to create conditions for you, and the rest depends on you. After giving Xiao Yan emergency treatment, the ape master left, leaving Yan and him alone. After experiencing such a crisis, Yan's feelings for this handsome boy became more complicated. For a period of time, Yan took the initiative to take care of Xiao Yan. Yan, who was clumsy in this regard, fell into the trap on the first day and sprinkled the spring desire powder that the ape master put in the seasoning pile on the food. Eating the roasted pig's trotters sent by Yan, Xiao Yan felt hot all over. At first, he thought that his concentration was not good, and he could not stand the temptation of the charming beauty around him. He said sorry to Zuna and Xiao Meng in his heart. Gradually, he noticed something was wrong, and it seemed that it was not just a problem of his concentration. Turning his head, he saw Yan, who was looking at him with charming eyes and full of spring. Yao. Yan, do you feel that it's a bit strange? You smell so good. Yan stretched out her snow white arms and wrapped them around Xiao Yan's neck. With the warm and soft jade in his arms, the heat in his heart became even worse. Xiao Yan felt that he was gradually losing control. Yao. Yan, don't. Yan's eyes were almost clear, and the fire of desire was about to swallow her completely, leaving only a trace of instinctive resistance. Gradually, this trace of resistance also disappeared, because it was made with the higher grade medicinal materials brought by ape grandfather Amon. Yan couldn't even say threatening words. Xiao Yan was still suppressing it with his fighting spirit, trying to maintain clarity. Damn, has that guy ape master been here? Xiao Yan had 2 bottles of high-level spring desire powder refined, one in his own ring, and the other was taken away by Ape Master. At the beginning, Ape Master solemnly asked him to refine this thing. In order to refine the medicinal materials, Xiao Yan specially borrowed Yao Chen's bone spirit cold fire. That old monkey tricked me. Xiao Yan's face was red, and he was panting. Yan was wrapped around him like a python. Xiao Yan felt that he was about to lose it and shouted, Yan Zhi, wake up, Yan. Yan's eyes were blurred, and her soft lips kissed him. Yao Yan, give it to me. Being stimulated by this, Xiao Yan couldn't help it. He didn't continue to suppress himself, and immediately hugged the soft body point. After a short period of sage mode, Xiao Yan regained some clarity, but the effect of the medicine was still not completely gone. He glanced at Yan Yan, whose pretty face was full of spring point. It's all done. Let's do it again. Yan Yan blushed and turned her head away without refusing. Point sage mode again. Yan Yan let out a soft gasp as soft as a mosquito's hum. Point sage mode again. After most of the day, the two finally calmed down from their lingering love and looked at each other in silence. Point facing Yan Yan's cold gaze, Xiao Yan touched his nose awkwardly. Sorry, that. I will take responsibility. Yan put on her clothes while trying to maintain her mentality. You don't have to apologize. It's not your fault. What happened just now? I'm a doctor, so I just practiced with some medicine based on the pharmacology I learned. This bottle should be the one in the hands of the ape. When did it come here? And put the medicine here. Xiao Yan explained a little hesitantly. You don't learn well at such a young age, and you just mess around. Yan gritted her teeth, and that dead monkey, the combined ape is a combined ape. She was a little tearful. She sprinkled the medicine herself, so she really couldn't blame the other party. As for the combined ape, she couldn't reason with a beast that was not present. Point fortunately, it was Yao Yan, not that damned ape. Yan comforted herself in her heart. Point she was overwhelmed with emotions and didn't know what to do next. Point Xiao Yan thought for a long time. His expression was very tangled, and finally, as if he had made up his mind, he said, Yan Zhi, you are from Yunlan sect, right? Yan nodded, but didn't say anything. I said, I will be responsible. I will go to Yunlan sect to propose marriage after I finish some things. Yao. Chen and the bone inflammation ring couldn't help laughing, and then he couldn't help laughing, and laughed directly. Ha 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 ha. The little purple crystal winged lion king on the cliff rolled on the ground with laughter. After a while, it rolled on the ground again with laughter. Pass it on. Xiao Yan is going to Yunlan sect to propose marriage. Good fellow. To deal with some things means to cancel the marriage with Melan Yanran, right? The little purple crystal winged lion king smiled with tears in the corners of his eyes. The ape raised his right hand, pinched the upper and lower bottom edges of the monocle with his index finger and thumb, and a smile was drawn at the corners of his mouth. Point Yan looked at Xiao Yan, who was serious and solemn, and vowed to be responsible for himself. She was angry and amused. Point she sighed and said, give up, it's impossible for us. Little guy, I don't need you to be responsible. Let's stop here and treat this as a beautiful dream. I said, I will be responsible. Xiao Yan repeated seriously again. Point Yan smiled and shook her head. Damn, you women in Yunlan sect just like to look down on people, right? I said, I will be responsible. You are not allowed to refuse. Xiao Yan felt that Yan had no intention of rejecting him personally, but was just worried about something else, so he said it without question. Point he pulled Yan into his arms and kissed her lips again. Point Yan widened her eyes with an expression of disbelief on her face. Chapter 379 I have to do something for my fiancé. With their lips parted, Yan took several steps back, her chest rising and falling, and she pointed at Xiao Yan. You, what? Am I? After all, you are mine, hehe. Xiao Yan smiled. Alas, I lost to you, your enemy. Yan lamented. If you are confident, come to Yunlan sect to convince my teacher. In the days that followed, the two acted like a real couple. Xiao Yan went to fight monsters during the day, both for training and for catching prey. Point Yan was like a little daughter-in-law, sitting on the rock, holding her chin in her hands, waiting for Xiao Yan to return from hunting. Point. When Xiao Yan comes back, he will immediately step forward to wipe the sweat from his forehead and smooth out the wrinkles in his clothes. Then Xiao Yan cuts and cleans the prey. And Yan makes a fire to cook point at night. I started doing things without shame and impatience again, going up, down, left, and right for a while. Baba point the two people who had just come into contact with this matter were both familiar with it. Point Xiao Yan also used his fighting spirit to seal the bone flame ring to prevent some old guy who loved watching the fun from making comments in his mind from time to time. TSK, it's great to be young. Yao Chen side. Point Heo and Amon held a jade slip that recorded light, shadow, and sound and recorded all this. He planned to use this to stimulate Xiao Meng. Point good days always pass quickly. On this day, Yan Yan broke through the seal of the amethyst winged Lion King, and the Dao Huang's powerful aura filled the cave. Point the weak Yunski, who was like a little daughter-in-law, disappeared and returned to the aloof Yunlin sect leader Yan Yan, who was as cold as the moon. Point when Xiao Yan returned to the cave, he was a little surprised that Yan Yan did not come out to greet him as usual. Then, he saw a cold woman wearing a black robe standing in front of him. Yunzi, you recovered your strength, Yan. Yan didn't answer. Dao Huang's aura was overwhelming. She glanced at Xiao Yan indifferently, surprising the latter. He was startled by the terrifying aura of the Dao Huang, but when he saw the faint smile on the corner of Yan Yan's mouth, Xiao Yan calmed down again. Ah, you afraid now? Yan Yan said with a hint of naughtiness in her tone. Okay, how dare you scare me? Xiao Yan reacted and stepped forward to hug her. Who told you to bully me like this these days? Yan Yan rolled her eyes at him. Point but when Xiao Yan put his hand on her waist, Yan Yan's body softened again. Point she took a deep breath. Her expression became serious and said, let's talk business. Seeing her like this, Xiao Yan's hand stopped acting weird and retracted it consciously. Point Yan Yan took 2 steps back and adjusted her clothes. Let's work together to get the purple spirit crystal, Xiao Yan shrugged. Since this is what you need, of course I will go through fire and water without hesitation. Who wants you to go through fire and water? I will drag the amethyst winged Lion King and kill the monsters guarding the cave entrance, but someone still needs to steal the amethyst crystal. Yan Yan said. Point after a pause, she continued, I can attach part of the fighting spirit to you, allowing you to have the power of wind attribute fighting spirit for a short period of time. If you feel it is dangerous, you don't have to go. Xiao Yan smiled bitterly. If I don't go, will you give up? You will probably find the amethyst winged Lion King again alone, right? Yan pursed her lips and did not answer. I said, I will go through fire and water for you, no matter what. Don't underestimate me. I faced a 3rd level monster that day, and I lived well. Didn't I just steal the purple spirit crystal? Xiao disc. Xiao Yan said, patting his chest. Point thinking of the 3rd level monster that day, Yan Yan had complicated thoughts. If he had not ran out to take a shower recklessly, he would not have attracted the 3rd level monsters. He would not have injured Yao Yan, and he would not have cooked and put that medicine into food as a seasoning, and he would not have lost his virginity. Medicine rock, of course. There will be no unforgettable days later. She couldn't tell whether she regretted it or not. Point after calming down, Yan Yan showed a bright and charming smile. If it hadn't been for what happened that day, and I know you must have a trump card, I wouldn't have proposed such a plan. Point she then asked, do you know where Mr. Apes? Xiao Yan frowned slightly and said seriously, Mr. Monkey takes good care of me, but he hasn't done anything to you, right? Yan shook her head. I'm not going to trouble it. You can give it magic cores, medicinal materials, etc. But it contains the secrets of my Yunlin sect that are not passed down. I have to get back some important secrets of techniques. In addition, my weapons are also in it. There is also a set of inner armor. When you go to steal the amethyst, it will be much safer to wear it. Xiao Yan touched the back of his head. Ape Lord has always been elusive, and I don't know where he is. Is that so? Yan frowned. Then our actions will be much more difficult. A ring-shaped object shot out with a burst of energy. Yan stretched out her hand to catch it, and found that it was her own ring point. When I looked inside, I found that only martial arts, fighting skills, weapons, and armor were left, as well as elixirs used to heal injuries and increase combat effectiveness in a short period of time. It seems that Lord 8 doesn't want to meet us for the time being. Xiao Yan touched his nose. Haha. That dead monkey must be avoiding me. There was a hint of danger in Yan Yan's tone. Xiao Yan smiled awkwardly. He couldn't accept this. He was the ultimate winner. Yan Yan took a deep breath, circulated her fighting spirit, and said loudly, Yanzi is not a person who repays kindness with revenge. You can rest assured, Lord Yuan. Thank you very much for saving your life. However, I heard from Yao Yan that Lord Yuan's sword is as graceful as a startling giant, and as powerful as a swimming dragon. If we meet next time, please feel free to teach me. Amon, the ape master, stroked his monocle and clicked his tongue. Are you going to drift away after regaining the strength of the Daohuang? Well, see you next time. I will definitely give you some good advice. Xiao Yang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Ape Lord will probably be frightened by you, a strong fighting emperor, and will not dare to come again. Yan rolled her eyes and said angrily, who let that dead monkey plot against me? Xiao Yang didn't refute. He also felt that Lord Ape probably did it on purpose. Ever since the other party saw him refining the aphrodisiac, he had been talking about having more children and more blessings in front of him. By the way, Yanzi, what do you need purple spirit crystal for? Why are you so persistent? Xiao Yan asked curiously. Yan responded with a smile. I have a disciple. She has recently reached a stage in her practice and needs to use purple spirit crystal to refine an elixir. She will have a battle in the not too distant future that affects her future in the face of our Yunlin sect. As a master, I have to do something for her. The smile on Xiao Yan's face gradually solidified. A powerful warrior with the title of Yunlin sect. The disciple will have another battle in the near future that will affect the Yunlin sect's face. His true identity has become smaller and smaller. The Amons in the air noticed the change in Xiao Yan's expression and opened their mouths one by one, letting out silent ridicule. Chapter 380. Yanzi, wait for me. Human woman, you bastard, you dare to come back. The amethyst-winged Lion King looked at Yan, who was exuding Lingran's aura in the sky, and let out a huge roar. Until I get the purple spirit crystal, I naturally can't leave. The matter is, at this point, it's useless to talk more. Let me learn the Lion King's clever tricks again. Yan said in a cold voice, HMPH, you are looking for death. The huge amethyst-winged Lion King flapped its pair of dark purple wings, and its whole body was filled with flames. There were flames on its foreclaws, and it ran towards Yan through the void. Every time it took a step, the atmosphere trembled. Feeling the power of the powerful Daohuang from a closer distance, Xiao Yan's mind wavered. He felt unreal when he thought that Yanzi, who was as dazzling as a Valkyrie in the sky, was still the little bad in his arms. Hey, are you more motivated? If you don't hurry up and become stronger, the good times during this period may become forever memories, and that girl Yanzi will also become the bright moon in the sky and the water in the water. Phantom, Yao Chen said with a smile. Don't provoke me. I know exactly what to do. Xiao Yan was not provoked by the medicine dust this time, but responded very calmly. Well, that's good. Your mentality has grown again, and you have become a real man. Xiao Yan looked embarrassed. Yao Chen could always find a point to break his defense. You gossipy old man. Now think about how we can steal the purple spirit crystal. He rolled his eyes angrily. In the Gu Yan ring space that Xiao Yan could not see, Yao Chen raised his right hand, touched the bottom edge of the monocle on his right eye with the knuckle of his index finger, and said with a chuckle, don't worry, I will help you to find out the truth. Go boldly, Yan did not engage in a head-on battle with the amethyst-winged Lion King. After a faint shot, her cyan wings vibrated, and she rushed downwards with lightning speed. Wind kills gang. The blue longsword shadows fell quickly, summoning the amethyst-winged Lion King to guard the cave, to protect the little amethyst-winged Lion King's 3rd and 4th level monsters, and kill them one by one. Yan quickly rose into the air again, avoiding the overwhelming purple flames coming from behind. The terrible high temperature caused the earth to be burned and crystallized, and there was a fiery breath in the air. The death of his men made The amethyst winged Lion King even more angry, and the purple flames on his body surged a bit. Although Yan killed several monsters with one move, there was still a wolf-shaped monster dozens of meters in front of the cave in trance, crawling on the ground and trembling while watching the battle in the sky. Looking at the white circle on its right eye, Yan immediately recognized that it was the monster that was attracted by the smell of Yan's bath and chased him and severely injured him. Looking at its prostrate and defenseless appearance, Yan licked his lips and asked in his heart, "Teacher, do you think I can use the fighting spirit given by Yanzi to kill it in a sneak attack?" Yayo. Chen chuckled. "I don't know if I can kill it, but I know it will definitely attract the amethyst winged Lion King, although it is currently focusing most of its attention on Yansky. If you want to use the flame separating wave devouring ruler, there is no way it will not notice it. Forget it, you're lucky." Yan glared at the wolf-shaped monster fiercely. After smearing odor eliminating powder on his body, he took a detour and climbed to the top of the cave, turned over and slipped into the cave. The wolf-shaped monster rubbed the socket of its right eye with the back of its right paw. Its real purpose here was to protect Yan's actions. If Yan can't find a chance to enter the cave, it will create chaos among the monsters to create an opportunity for him. Yan's action was extremely smooth. At the end of a bifurcated passage, he discovered the source of the associated amethyst and the purple spirit crystal that could cut open the source of the associated amethyst. The amethyst winged Lion King naturally knows that the purple spirit crystal can cut open the source of the accompanying amethyst, so in order to avoid accidents, it usually stores the two separately in different cave passages. Haha, you are really lucky. Basically no amethyst winged Lion King would put them together so carelessly. It is probably the work of a playful little amethyst winged Lion King. This saves the trouble. We're in a lot of trouble, Yao Chen reminded aloud, but you should move faster. Since there is an associated amethyst source, there must be a small amethyst winged Lion King, and it may come at any time. Humph, isn't it just a little brat? I won't kill it with a single stroke. Yan Hao said angrily. Oh, really? Yao Chen said non-committally when he saw Yan showing such an arrogant attitude. A huge shadow slowly approached from behind. Yan turned around and saw the huge little amethyst winged Lion King. His expression froze. Come on, let me show you how you can kill it with one foot. Yao Chen looked like he was gloating at his misfortune. Teacher, save me. Yan shouted in his heart. I said, I won't take action unless absolutely necessary. This is also part of the experience. Yao Chen stroked his monocle with a smile on his face. Yan keenly noticed that there was also a white circle on the right eye of the little amethyst winged Lion King. He was used to it. It seemed to be a normal phenomenon. Ouch. The little amethyst winged Lion King roared angrily at Yan. Seemingly very angry. It raised its paw high and slapped it down with one palm. Yan took advantage of the fighting spirit left by Yan, and like the wind, a sliding shovel passed under the abdomen of the little amethyst winged Lion King. The movements of the little purple crystal winged Lion King were a little slow, giving people a dull feeling. It turned around and chased Yan. A period of escape and killing began. The little purple crystal winged Lion King looked very dull, but his attack was very fierce. Yan quickly consumed the fighting spirit that Yan left for him. In order to get rid of the big guy behind him, Yan took the risk of swallowing part of the companion purple crystal source, and with the temporary surge of power in his body, he slashed at the opponent fiercely. At the same time, he also suffered a claw attack from the little purple crystal winged Lion King, and flew backwards sensing the movement below. Yan and the purple crystal winged Lion King almost rushed to the entrance of the cave at the same time. Yan slashed the little purple crystal winged Lion King with a sword, and the latter burst into tears. The purple crystal winged Lion King didn't care about anything else, and hurried to check the injury of the little Lion King. Yan took the opportunity to take the unconscious Yan away. Asshole, you stole my treasure and hurt my son. I will never forgive you. The purple crystal winged Lion King felt the energy of the accompanying purple crystal source emanating from Yan's body, and roared angrily and helplessly. It licked the wound of the tearful little Lion King, and found that the injury was very minor. It slapped its head with one claw and said angrily, "Stupid, how could you let such a weak human rob you of your treasure, and why are you crying for such a small injury?" The little purple crystal winged lion king rolled over and looked at the purple crystal winged lion king with its big eyes. The latter saw its heartless appearance, sighed, and began to worry about its future. Originally, the little lion king could become a 5th level monster in an instant after swallowing the accompanying purple crystal source at the 4th level, and could also occupy a place in this huge monster mountain range. But now, without the accompanying purple crystal source, its future will be filled with unknown risks. Yan dissolved the violent energy in Xiao Yan's body and put him in a safe place. She took out a high-level Zuan level fire attribute technique and a mid-level Zuan level body fighting technique from the ring, and gently placed the 2 scrolls next to Xiao Yan. She looked at Xiao Yan's handsome face, and her soft lips were imprinted on the latter's lips. She looked at him reluctantly for the last time, and whispered, "I'm waiting for you to come to Yunlin sect to propose marriage. Come on. Teacher is not so easy to convince." Then, Daoqi wings condensed behind her, soared into the sky, and quickly disappeared into the sky. After a while, Xiao Yan woke up slowly, touched his lips, and the soft touch seemed to still exist. Putting the 2 scrolls with a faint fragrance into the ring, Xiao Yan stared into the distance. The setting sun cast a golden afterglow. The sunset glow was like fire, and the sky seemed to be burning. He looked at this gorgeous scenery and was fascinated. After a long time, he whispered softly, "Wait for me, Yunsky." Chapter 381 Flower Snake. In the temple city of the snake people, a noble and cold figure perched on a bed covered with gorgeous silk. The enchanting body was enough to arouse the desire in everyone's heart, and the purple snake tail swayed slightly, with a bit of strange style. Queen Medusa opened her red lips and asked softly, "How is the collection of the ice spirit Cold Spring?" Below, a slightly dim, but still enchanting and beautiful snake girl reported, "Your Majesty, there is still 1/5 of what you asked for. Hurry up and collect it. Yunshin will not give up so easily. I have to start evolving before they are ready." "Yes." Huashir nodded. She left the temple where Queen Medusa lived and walked towards the street. On the street, snake people came and went with different expressions. There were vendors selling along the street, couples walking hand in hand, and a serious guard lined up to walk by. Looking at the prosperity of the city, Huashir felt satisfied. But she felt a little disappointed. She had been to human cities. Even if it was just a small city on the edge of the empire, that was not considered important. Its prosperity could be compared to the holy city of the snake people. "I hope Her Majesty's plan can succeed." She prayed silently in her heart. Suddenly, her pupils shrank, and she saw a figure in a black robe. Although the black robe looked a little strange in the desert, it was nothing. But the problem was that under the black robe of this figure, it was not a snake tail, but human legs. A human sneaked in. Such an idea popped up in her mind. Uashena was a little confused. If humans sent spies in, they should also use some elixirs to disguise themselves as snake people, instead of being so swaggering. And why did the pedestrians on the street and the guards passing by turn a blind eye to this person? There is something strange. Her Majesty is about to evolve, and there must be no problems at this important juncture. With this idea in mind, Huashena twisted her snake tail and followed. The black-robed man walked towards a remote area with few people, and Huashena followed him from a distance. Her eyes flashed with dangerous light, wondering if someone would contact the black-robed man. Suddenly, the black-robed man stopped and said, "Come out, don't hide." "Found me." Huashena walked forward slowly with a cold look on her face. "You are a human, right? Why did you come to my Snake Man holy city? And in such a sneaky way?" "The Snake Man tribe has many masters and is hostile to humans, so I naturally can't be too blatant." A slightly old voice sounded. Uashena felt that the voice was a little familiar, but she didn't remember who it was, and narrowed her eyes. "This is not a reason for you to do sneaky things in my Snake Man holy city. If you can't tell the reason, then I will just use your blood to irrigate the plants in the desert. You are too careless." The black-robed man still looked unhurried. He slowly turned around, revealing his face under the hood. Yunshin, Huashir's face changed drastically. This was a super strong man who could rival Queen Medusa. She wanted to send out a warning signal, but a darkness spread instantly, covering everything around. The crow with white eye circles and red eyes slowly landed on the roof next to it, staring at Uashir with red eyes. The latter showed panic on his face. A super strong man at the peak of Daohuang, a 5th level magic beast that could shield energy fluctuations. Damn it. Uashir turned around and ran away. Big wind handprint. Yan Jin's attack suddenly fell, and Uashir used the secret art of differentiation of the snake people, and immediately turned into countless small snakes, fleeing in all directions. She had no intention of fighting at all, and only wanted to pass on the news that a dangerous person had mixed into the holy city. Wind splitting finger. The blue finger light shot towards the small snakes, blasting them into pieces one by one. At the same time, the bright starlight lit up, and the streamer emitting starlight sank into the remaining small snakes. The snake transformation secret technique is a pure means of escape. After it is activated, the snake will be in a state of almost no defense. However, due to the huge number, even people who are several times stronger than it will find it difficult to kill all these small snakes. But this method is not so effective in front of Amon. The number of Amons is also huge, and each spirit insect only needs to stare at a small snake. The small snakes burst apart, leaving only the last one, which turned into a beautiful snake in the flickering light and shadow. Uashir's body was twitching, and her eyes were out of focus. She was fighting with the spirit insect in her body. Feng Shagang. Yan Jin used his fighting skills again, and a green energy sword hit Uashir's body, causing her to spit out a large mouthful of blood. More spirit insects poured into Uashir's body. She was injured and weak, and her opponent kept increasing the pressure. She finally couldn't hold on anymore, and the fighting spirit defense line in her body loosened. The spirit insects took the opportunity to merge into her flesh and blood, and then parasitized further, slowly merging into her soul. The souls of snake people of the same level are stronger than those of monsters of the same level, so Amon killed Yunhu and Yulang to vacate the quota. In order to parasitize her, Uashir's body trembled violently, and then calmed down. She supported herself on the ground with both hands, slowly stood up, and looked to the left calmly. A thin young man wearing a black classical robe, a pointed hat, and a monocle on his right eye, walked slowly. He raised his right hand, pinched the monocle, and whispered, "Well, Uashir's identity as the captain of Medusa's personal guard is still very useful. Occasionally, some fake orders that seem appropriate but are actually unreasonable can fool some people for a short time." Amon looked at Yan Jin. "Is there any news about Xiao Yan?" Yan Jin shook his head. "No, at least he hasn't gone to Shimo City yet." "Oh, so Queen Medusa's evolution cannot be missed. If he can't catch up, it can only be said that it is fate's arrangement. It can't be delayed for him too long. The opportunity of the strange fire can be arranged separately to make up for him. It's just that he may lose a wife, which has no effect on the strength of the Emperor Yan." Amon said with a chuckle. "Let Hayboden come here too?" Yan Jin asked. "No, let him stay in Shimo City. There is not much demand for combat power here. I just want to observe Medusa's evolution process. If Xiao Yan can catch up, it would be the best." The darkness that enveloped this area slowly dissipated, and the corpse dance crow landed on Amon's shoulder again. Uashir pinched her right eye socket, and said to Amon, "Do you have any healing pills? Give me some." Amon raised his eyebrows. How could the captain of Medusa's personal guard not even have a healing pill in his hand? Indeed, there are quite a few medicinal materials and other treasures, but they have not been processed. They are all natural. Uashir answered immediately. Chapter 382. Three Brothers. The yellow sand was flying all over the sky, the wind was strong, and the sand was soft. It was difficult to walk lightly in such a place. Xiao Yan walked in the endless yellow sand, as if walking on flat ground. After taking the companion purple crystal source, his strength was upgraded from an 8-star fighter to a 9-star fighter. Then he crossed the Warcraft Mountains. In the process, his fighting spirit was liquefied, and he was upgraded to a fighter. He took the level assessment in the Alchemist Union, and became a 2nd grade alchemist. He used a bottle of companion purple crystal source to exchange for the ice spirit cold spring from Gute. After all the auxiliary conditions for absorbing the strange fire were complete, Xiao Yan rushed to the Taga Desert impatiently. Yao Chen sighed. "I also heard rumors of the existence of strange fire in the Taga Desert, but I never saw it. I didn't expect you to be so lucky. You have already got a map of the hiding place of strange fire before you even reach the desert, Zhao. Yan replied, it may not be true or false. The simple drawing makes me feel like it's a prank, but the pile of treasures in the ice spirit flame grass can't be fake. Yao Chen laughed. Even Dao Huang Strongman would find it difficult not to be tempted by the treasure in the cave. Right, that's true. Zhao Yan's eyes were more expectant. The wind and sand gradually subsided, and the ancient city wall in front came into view. When he got closer, Zhao Yan could clearly see the three big characters on the plaque hanging on the city gate. Shimo City. His face was more excited. Shimo City, but his relatives are there. Only those who have been away from home for a long time can experience the joy of meeting relatives and friends in a foreign land. Zhao Yanzi, you seem to be a little bit off. Even if the strange fire is right in front of you, you have to keep a good attitude. Yao Chen said, teacher, you misunderstood. It's not because of that. My elder brother Xiaoding and my second brother Xiaoli are in Shimo City. They have set up a mercenary group. Zhao Yan said with a smile. Oh, I see. That's just right. After all, the temptation of strange fire is too great. Since your two brothers have set up a mercenary group here, it's just right to ask them for help. Yao Chen said, that's what I meant. Here, he's here, come on, everyone. We must let them feel our enthusiasm. At the gate of Shimo City, several guards wearing monocles kept communicating. They stood straight, neatly dressed, and looked straight ahead. When Zhao Yan walked through the gate, they suddenly shouted in unison, hello, sir. The loud voice echoed in the gate hole, and Zhao Yan was frightened. He was at a loss for 2 seconds, and then he remembered that he was wearing the clothes of a second grade alchemist, and he was a little amused. Then he noticed that every guard was wearing a monocle on his right eye, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help twitching. Is this trend so popular? At the same time, next to the station of the Moti mercenary group, in a newly opened drinking water store, an old man in a blue robe slowly raised his head and smiled. Zhao Yan came to the station of the Moti mercenary group, and when he passed by the drinking water store next to him, he looked inside with a little curiosity. Probably only in a place like the desert, there would be people who specialize in selling clean drinking water. When he looked inside, the old man in a blue robe sitting behind the counter also looked out and smiled at him. Zhao Yan also smiled and nodded. Walking into the Moti mercenary group, the guard at the door stopped him. Excuse me, what can I do for you? One person asked. Is this the base of the Desert Iron mercenary group? I wonder if your two leaders are at home. Please inform them and say that Zhao Yan is visiting. Zhao Yan said with a smile. Zhao Yan, third leader? The mercenary guarding the door did not doubt him and said directly, the first leader is here, and the second leader has taken people out. They have instructed that, if the third leader comes here, just take him to see them directly. The name of the third leader, Zhao Yan, who has never shown his face, is not well known. In this stone desert city, probably only people inside the mercenary group have heard of him, so it can be basically ruled out that someone is pretending. Zhao Yan's heart is warm. Even though they are thousands of miles apart, his two brothers still care about him. The mercenary took Zhao Yan to find Xiaoding. Zhao Yanzi. Xiaoding showed a look of surprise. He stepped forward quickly and gave him a hug. Haha, you are also out for training? My father wrote that your strange symptoms have been resolved. Although Xiaoding's temperament is more like a scholar, his behavior is also heroic like a mercenary. Yes, it's a blessing in disguise. Zhao Yan replied. The two chatted for a while, and a mercenary dressed man with a bit of ruthlessness between his eyebrows walked in. Brother, I heard that Zhao Yanzi is here. The moment he saw Zhao Yan, the ruthlessness between the young man's eyebrows disappeared, leaving only a gentle smile. He sat down next to Zhao Yan, and the three began to share their experiences during their training. After talking about the dangers Zhao Yan had experienced, Xiaoli suddenly asked with a hint of resentment, Zhao Yanzi, is that true? Nalan Yanran came to the Zhao family to break off the engagement in public, making you and your father embarrassed. Second brother, Xiao Ding frowned, worried that mentioning such a great humiliation would irritate Xiao Yan. But to their surprise, Xiao Yan did not show a trace of anger, but just smiled calmly and said, "It's true, but don't take it to heart. I will handle it." When Xiao Yan heard someone mention Alan Yanran again, he really didn't feel angry at all. Now looking back at her behavior, he only felt like an elder watching a younger person's mischief. Perhaps this is what growth is. Let's not talk about this. Actually, I came to the Taga Desert to find something. Xiao Yan lowered his voice. Xiao Ding glanced at the alchemist symbol on his chest and replied, "Is it the strange fire?" Ah. Xiao Yan was stunned, and a trace of surprise appeared on his face. "Ah. You really looking for the strange fire?" Xiao Li raised his eyebrows, then shook his head. "Alas, Xiao Yanzi, you are late. The thing may have been taken away by someone." "What's going on?" Xiao Yan asked anxiously. Xiao Ding did not keep him in suspense and responded straightforwardly. "About half a year ago, Dan Kingu came to Shimo City. He hired the Sand Mercenary Group to search for a long time in an area east of the city. Later, a Daohuan war broke out there. The two sides fighting were Queen Medusa of the Snake People and a man who was suspected to be the previous leader of Yunlin sect. Yunlin sect seemed to have suffered some losses. Later, there was news that what they were fighting for seemed to be a strange fire, and Dan Kingu might have died in that battle. Of course, we only heard about it, and we don't know for sure. After all, such people are too far away from us." Xiao Yan was shocked. Dan Kingu died? He was a 6th grade alchemist. Yunlin sect suffered a loss. Did the strange fire fall into the hands of Queen Medusa? Chapter 383 Will in the Blood. After a brief shock, Xiao Yan calmed down. No matter what, he would not give up easily. He took out the picture with Amon's head drawn from the cave, spread it on the table, and asked, "Is this the area that Guhi hired people to dig?" Xiao Ding took a look. He was very familiar with the surroundings of Shimo City, and recognized that it was this place that was blocked by the Sand Mercenary Group at that time. Nodding, he said affirmatively, "Yes, it is here." A bitterness appeared on Xiao Yan's mouth, and he asked in his heart, "Teacher, what should we do now?" Yao Chen thought for a while and responded, "Let's go to that area first to confirm whether it is a strange fire. If so, then sneak into the Snake People." Xiao Yan was a little worried. Will it be too dangerous? Even the Dan Kingu may die in the hands of Medusa. "Why, are you scared?" Yao Chen smiled. "I'm afraid, but I won't back down. Otherwise, how can I go to Yunlin sect? I'll win the 3-year agreement first, and then." Xiao Yan's voice gradually became smaller. "Since you won't back down, then move forward firmly." Xiao Yang proposed to go to the area where the strange fire was found, and Xiao Ding and Xiao Li agreed to help him lead the way. He rested for a night at the base of the Moti mercenary group, and the next day he came to the place where Medusa and Yunshin had fought. They were accompanied by Kinglin, a half-snake who served Xiao Yan for a night. She has an extraordinary perception of certain things. In the center of the desert, there is a sunken lava lake with large and small rocks floating on it. Xiao Ding introduced. There were many people checking around for a while before, hoping to pick up some treasures from it, but they all returned in vain. Over time, no one came. Some people also speculated that there might be some treasures in the magma, but no one could go down, so it was unclear what the situation was below. Master Xiao Yan, be careful, there seems to be something below, very strong. The half-snake Kinglin said timidly. Master. Xiao Yan made Xiao Yan absent-minded for a moment. He remembered a girl who liked to wear black clothes. He didn't know how she and Zuna were doing in Canon College now. Very strong. How strong? Are there living creatures in here? Xiao Yan frowned. Well, stronger than the city lord and Luo, weaker than the old man that day. Kinglin had seen Mulei, the city lord of Shimo City, and Luo, the leader of the Sand Mercenary Group, and had also felt Yunshin's momentum, so he subconsciously compared them. Here it comes. Yao Chen reminded in Xiao Yan's mind. A two-headed fire spirit snake emerged from the magma. It looked at a man wearing a monocle in the Mo Time mercenary group, and then set its sights on Xiao Yan and King Lin beside him. Amon also had some ideas about the green snake tricolor pupil, but this thing did not seem to have a USB interface, and could be plug and play. The Mo family's magic beast limb transplant technology was not mature, so Amon put it aside for the time being. This was the same as Xiao Yixin's evil poison body, which was not compatible with Amon's own system. If he wanted to use it, he had to devote a lot of energy to special research. 4th level. Magic Beast. Xiao Yan was shocked. Looking at the two-headed fire spirit snake with white circles under its eyes, Xiao Yan did not feel too much surprise. The two-headed fire spirit snake threw Xiao Yan away with its tail, and then pounced on King Lin. Teacher. Xiao Yan was about to let Yao Chen take over the body, but found a strange wave spreading. King Lin's eyes glowed brightly, and the 3 dots in his pupils turned into 3 extremely tiny green flowers. A green light enveloped the two-headed fire spirit snake. The spirit insects parasitizing the soul of the two-headed fire spirit snake found that the host's soul was distorted. A dark green snake took part of the soul of the two-headed fire spirit snake as nutrients, and condensed into shape. It seemed to contain part of King Lin's will, parasitizing in the soul of the two-headed fire spirit snake, thereby controlling the two-headed fire spirit snake. It was competing with Amon for control of the soul of the two-headed fire spirit snake. Not long after the dark green snake was born, it found a bug with 12 rings, and emitting star-like colors staring at itself with interest. Interesting. The salmon's body glowed with stars, and he tried to parasitize the dark green snake, but failed. Well, it has no spirituality, so it is not considered a living thing. He circled around the dark green snake, expressing his curiosity about this existence. The green snake's 3-flower pupil can only control snake monsters, which means that this is related to blood. Amon whispered, the will in the blood. Ancient sky snake? Interesting. He became more interested in the green snake's 3-flower pupils, but without parasitizing King Lin, it would cause her to lose her growth potential. Until the second sample appears, and there is not enough confidence to use it, Amon will not conduct destructive research on it. He has enough patience. Starting from the controlled snake monster, observing the green snake's 3-flower pupils from the side is also a way. Amon temporarily stopped controlling the soul of the two-headed fire spirit snake, and gave the dominant power to the dark green snake that was distorted from the soul of the two-headed fire spirit snake due to the induction of the green snake's 3-flower pupils. The two-headed fire spirit snake's body shook, and its eyes regained some clarity. It crawled in front of King Lin, like a puppy, with a wronged look in its eyes. It's actually the green snake's 3-flower pupils. Yao Chen's exclamation sounded in Xiao Yan's heart. I don't know what luck you have, the maids around you are not simple. Your maid Xiao Meng may be right. That Nalan Yanran may not be worthy of being your maid. Yao Chen said with a teasing tone. Xiao Yan touched his nose and asked, teacher, what is the green snake tricolor pupil? A kind of natural strange pupil. It seems to only appear in the offspring of humans and snake people, and can create illusions. It can also form a unilateral force connection with snake monsters. In simple terms, there is a certain probability of forcibly controlling snake monsters. It can be said to be the nemesis of snake monsters. It seems that there are some more special abilities. I'm not very clear. Fuck. Xiao Yan was envious. A girl who is not even a fighter can control a 4th level two-headed fire spirit snake. What will happen when her cultivation level improves? Well, I think this girl seems to have a good impression of you, so you should accept her too. More children, more blessings. Yao Chen said with a smile. Fuck. Get out. Xiao Yan cursed. Master. Xiao Yan. Xiaoling seems to have become my pet. It cried to me and said that it was controlled by something before and didn't mean to hit us. King Lin shouted excitedly. Control, isn't it controlled by you now? Xiao Yan muttered softly. Chapter 384 Angel Investor Amon. Let your maid ask what is controlling it. The description of the abilities of the different fires in the different fire list is only a rough outline, so it is not surprising that they each have other unique abilities. I am worried that it will be controlled by that different fire. If that is the case, then our absorption preparation may be a little insufficient. Yao Chen's face was serious. Zhao Yan conveyed Yao Chen's question. King Lin closed his eyes, as if he was communicating with the two-headed fire spirit snake in a special way. Master. Zhao Yan, it said it was a man wearing a monocle. Isn't it the same as not saying it? Perhaps in other people's cognition, wearing a monocle is already a relatively niche feature, which can narrow down a large range point. But in Zhao Yan's eyes, aren't monocles worn by people everywhere? Afterwards, Zhao Yan, led by the two-headed fire spirit snake, went to the magma to find the place where the strange fire had grown. Although it was clear that the strange fire had been taken away, Yao Chen suggested to go down and see to determine the type of strange fire. They found the lotus platform that Amon deliberately left there. Zhao Yan did not stay under the magma for long. After picking the lotus platform, he returned to the ground. Zhao Yanzi, how is it? Zhao Ding asked. Zhao Yan shook his head. Sure enough, someone has taken the lead. It seems that I have to go to the snake tribe. You are going to find Queen Medusa? Zhao Li was shocked and said in disbelief, well, it's no big problem. My teacher will help me. Don't worry, even if I don't get the strange fire, I'm sure I can escape. Zhao Yan said with a smile. Back in Shimo City, Zhao Yan asked Zhao Ding, brother, do you know where to buy a lot of clean water? Well, the Bingquan store next door is good. There are not only water but also ice. But the price of ice is a bit expensive, and the boss is a bit weird. You have to be nicer when you buy it. The boss of Bingquan is very powerful. Zhao Ding responded. Next to the station of the Desert Iron Mercenary Group, in the Bingquan store, Heiboding, wearing a blue robe, sat on a chair and pinched his monocle. The snake seal of Queen Medusa had been cracked long ago, but Amon used his own innate ability to add a door seal to this body. He looked at the street at the door and whispered to himself, if I don't put on this seal, how can Zhao Yan know that my fighting spirit is sealed and good relationships are easy to make? Without waiting for long, a young man carrying an ancient ruler walked into the store. Heiboding immediately used his Dao Ki to freeze a large ball of drinking water into ice cubes and put them into the ring, using his actions to let Zhao Yan understand that he was not simple. After doing all this, he seemed not to see Zhao Yan and returned to his seat. Zhao Yan's pupils shrank. Heiboding's use of Dao Ki to freeze drinking water just now gave him great pressure. No wonder Big Brother said that his strength is not simple. A Daoling strongman, Dao Ling. Not only he has a huge energy in his body, which has reached the level of Dao Huang, but it seems to be sealed. Yao Chen reminded. He said in a teasing tone, using ice Dao Ki to freeze water into ice cubes and sell them. This is also a talent. Zhao Yan was startled, thinking of Yan Zhi before, and looked at Heiboding in doubt. A sealed Dao Huang. He looked to both sides again and saw a hanging map with 3 flames, and his pupils shrank slightly. Teacher, look, this map is almost exactly the same as mine, except that there are 3 flames. Could it be that there are 3 strange fires in the Taga Desert? Zhao Yan said with a hint of expectation. You are thinking about shit. How could there be 3 strange fires in a place the size of a palm? Do you really think that strange fires are cabbages on the roadside? Yao Chen rolled his eyes. Boy, are you interested in those maps? Heiboding, who was sitting behind the counter, suddenly took the initiative to speak. Yes, I once got a similar map, but there was only 1 flame on it. Zhao Yan did not hide it. Anyway, the strange fires had been taken away by Queen Medusa. You looking for that thing? As an alchemist who doesn't want to get it. That's right. Heiboding stared at the alchemist badge on Zhao Yan's chest and shook his head in disappointment. Zhao Yan smiled slightly. The old man's body seems to be a little strange. Why not tell me? Maybe I can solve it. Hey. Bodung's eyes narrowed slightly. Can you see it? I still have some eyesight. Zhao Yan had a confident smile on his face. Heiboding said with a hint of contempt. If you can get the strange fire, there is still a slight possibility. But that thing has been taken away by Queen Medusa. People like you will be sent to the kitchen if you go. The old man has been hit by some kind of seal, right? There is no need to hide it like this. I remember there is a pill to solve this problem. Are you short of an alchemist, old man? That must be an alchemist with strange fire, otherwise it will be useless. Even if the king of pills Guhi is resurrected, is Guhi really dead? Xiao Yan asked in confusion. He is really dead. The old man Yan Jin was very angry about this. Hey Bodong said casually. The words of a former Daohuang strongman are still very credible. Guhi, who represented the pinnacle of the Jayamar Empire's alchemy world, died just like that. When this news was confirmed, Xiao Yan couldn't help but feel sad. Yao Chen sighed and said, this is a temptation of strange fire to alchemists. There are countless famous alchemists who died on the road to finding strange fire. Now, you know how difficult the road you are going to take is, right? Not only the difficulty of practicing the technique itself, but also the difficulty of finding and competing for strange fire. Although he had already prepared himself, the death of Dun King Guhi still made Xiao Yan sigh and feel pressured. After all, he grew up listening to the legend of Guhi. Concentrating his mind, Xiao Yan focused his eyes on He Bodong, and the white flame borrowed from Yao Chen emerged from his hand. Strange fire? Is this what the old man is talking about? Hey Bodong was shocked. Strange fire? But you're alchemist level. How do you know? If you don't try? This is just something on the surface. Who would let people see all their cards? He Bodong hesitated, thought for a long time, and then made up his mind and said, let's try it out. I have wasted too much time in this Taga desert, and I really don't want to wait any longer. I need an alchemist with strange fire to help me refine a 6th grade pill. I have gathered the pill formula and most of the medicinal materials for the pill formula, except for the sand mandragora. It grows a lot in the central area of the Taga Desert, but my seal is placed by Queen Medusa. Once I go in, she will find it. Xiao Yan communicated with Yao Chen and confirmed that the pill could be refined and that, even if He Bodong recovered, he would have a countermeasure. He smiled and said, I can refine this pill, but what can the old man give? Tell me, what do you want? As soon as you entered the store, you were thinking about me, an old man, right? He Bodong showed a look of surprise and then suppressed it immediately. As for me, as an alchemist, I'm not good at fighting, and I need a bodyguard. Xiao Yan showed a slightly cunning smile. Unexpectedly, He Bodong shook his head. I don't want to be hired for the time being. I think you will like this thing. As he said, he took out the incomplete picture of the pure lotus demon fire obtained from the Warcraft mountain range. This incomplete picture is the more critical one, and it has the icon of the pure lotus demon fire. It was because of this that I was hunted down and sealed by Queen Medusa. According to my judgment, this incomplete picture should record the location of the pure lotus demon fire, which ranks 3rd on the list of strange fires. This picture is also very mysterious. I have used all means, but I can't cause any damage to it, and I can't copy or imitate it. 3rd on the list of strange fires, pure lotus demon fire. Xiao Yan's breathing became a little faster, and Yao Chen also showed astonishment. That is one of the most mysterious kinds of strange fire. Xiao Yan was already tempted, but still pretended to be hesitant. I'm indeed very interested, but I have to refine a 6th grade elixir for you, and I have to help you find the sand mandala. This price is a bit unequal. After all, this is just a fragment of a map that I don't know if it can be used. Hey Bodong frowned. Then I will add one more piece of information. The exact information about the strange fire east of Shamo City and the way you might get it. Deal. Xiao Yan agreed immediately. Although he failed to get He Bodong to agree to be his bodyguard, Xiao Yan did not give up this idea in his heart. Teacher, can you refine the kind of elixir that can restore the strength decline caused by the seal? Yes. It seems that this bodyguard can't run away. Yao Chen laughed. Although He Bodong Amon does not have the ability to read minds, he can guess Xiao Yan's plan roughly. That is exactly what he expected. How can my identity as an angel investor run away? He Bodong spoke his intelligence fluently without hesitation. The strange fire is in the hands of Queen Medusa, but she does not want to absorb the strange fire. The blood of the snake people is cold and gloomy. If she absorbs the strange fire, she will only seek death. Her purpose of taking the strange fire is to start an evolution. When the snake people reach the peak of Daohuang, if there is enough opportunity, they can use the strange fire to evolve. After success, not only can they freely transform into human bodies, but their strength will also be promoted to Dalzang, as if it is a natural result. So, if you want this strange fire, you can exchange it after it evolves, or snatch it when it is at its weakest moment of evolution. Zhao. Yang nodded slightly. I see. Thank you for the information, old man. I will bring back the sand mandala. By the way, after talking for so long, I still don't know what the old man's name is. Hey. Bodong. Ice. Emperor Hey Bodong? Hey Bodong, who was once one of the 10 most powerful men in the Jayamar Empire. It's just a little bit of a false name. Hey Bodong waved his hand, but there was still a bit of complacency on his face. What about you, my friend, Zhao? Yan, because he was determined to let Hey Bodong accompany him to Yunlan sect. Zhao Yan did not use a pseudonym. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 385. I will treat you as my own son. At Hey Bodong's reminder, Zhao Yan brought enough water and chilled juice. This gave Zhao Yan a rare sense of comfort during his journey in the desert. Leo. Hey is really attentive. After drinking a glass of apple juice, Zhao Yan wiped the sweat from his forehead with a hint of enjoyment on his face. He arrived at the center of the desert without disturbing any snake tribe. Spreading out a detailed map, he focused his eyes on the ferocious snakehead symbol in the center, feeling a little more nervous. After all, how could he remain unfazed when facing such a legendary and ferocious figure as Queen Medusa? In the distance, a majestic city looms at the end of the horizon. The number of snake men patrolling increased in number, and the purple cloud wings behind Zhao Yan kept vibrating, and at Xiao Chen's reminder, they flew quickly close to the ground point. After flying for a long time, and taking a lot of rejuvenation pills, he stopped among the rocks in front of the temple city, and took a big breath. Along the way, he had to dodge the patrols in many twists and turns, and kept using his flying fighting skills to rush forward. It was really too much for a little fighting master like him. After resting for a while, Zhao Yan stood up. He was stunned, cold sweat dripping down his forehead. A monster with white circles, red pupils, pitch black body and bursts of ominous black mist was staring at Zhao Yan with its blood red eyes. Teacher, didn't you notice it? Zhao Yan's eyes were wary, and he was extremely nervous. If the other party makes such a sound now, it will be all over. Snake people will definitely swarm when they notice the movement. With Yao Leo's help, escaping with his life may not be a problem, but there is no hope for Yao. No, it seems to have a special method that can isolate the detection of the soul. Even if it is right in front of me, I can't sense its existence. Yao Chen's eyes revealed a trace of unnoticeable solemnity. This is Amon, who has parasitized the corpse dance crow, activating his natural ability Solita. The soul power will be swallowed up when it touches it, and cannot be fed back. Under Zhao Yan's horrified gaze, corpse dancer crow slowly opened its mouth. No, brother crow, no, he shouted wildly in his heart. To his surprise, the crow did not scream, but spoke in a very calm and easy tone. Are you Zhao Yan? Huh? Zhao Yan was stunned, and didn't know how to answer. After a moment of silence, he responded, yes, I'm Zhao Yan. Who is Brother Crow? I was entrusted by the Ape Lord to come to help you. Corpse Dancer Crow replied. Ah, Mr. Ape? Zhao Yan was a little confused. Here. Corpse Dance Crow flicked his paw and threw an arrow into Zhao Yan. Zhao Yan looked inside and found that there were many medicinal materials, mostly 3rd and 4th level herbs, and 3 5th level herbs. What surprised him even more was that there were 2 5th level magic cores and a 6th level herb inside. The 5th level magic core and 6th level medicinal materials inside were originally from Yun's ring, but were seized by Amon. This is Ape Lord's collection. He asked me to give it to you. A 6th level medicinal plant and a 5th level magic core have been taken away by me as reward. Corpse Dance Crow replied. Zhao Yan was at a loss for a moment. Suddenly getting such a windfall made him feel a little uneasy. He asked with a somewhat serious tone, how is Mr. Ape doing lately? Corpse Dance Crow replied coldly, the end is coming. Death is not far away. Zio. Yan froze, and the hand holding the ring seemed to be heavy. Great sadness enveloped him. Compared with the powerlessness when Alan Yanran broke off the engagement, this time the powerlessness was deeper. If you are laughed at, ridiculed, or humiliated, just stand up. You can use your own actual actions, your own efforts and struggles to shut up all those who ridicule, and humiliate you. But the powerlessness brought about by death cannot be changed or undone. In the hearts of young people, in addition to their ambitions for the future, there is also another understanding, cherishing the people in front of you. Zio Yan's mind was filled with every detail of his time with Mr. Yuan, and the corners of his eyes were a little moist. In the shadow of the city, a thin young man wearing a black robe and a pointed hat pinched the monocle on his right eye and laughed in a low voice. The more you know how to cherish, the greater the pain will be when you lose it. Well, there is no need to feel sad for the Monkey King. He is so open-minded, so what reason do we have to feel sad for him? Corpse Dance Crow's tone remained calm. Zio Yan took a deep breath and calmed down. I'm sorry, I lost my temper. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, there was only determination in his eyes. Brother Crow, my target is Queen Medusa's strange fire. She needs to use this strange fire to evolve. Do you have any ideas, Corpse? Dance Crow responded, I also know something about the snake people. Their evolution is a kind of evolution that involves death and rebirth. It is different from the general evolution that takes a lot of tonic, which will consume their own existing strength. So, even if the evolution is successful, it will be in a very weak state for a short period of time. We can take the opportunity to sneak in and steal the strange fire. Covering up the whereabouts is exactly what I'm good at. Then, I'll trouble Brother Crow. Brother Crow is willing to accompany me on this trip. I'm very grateful. If you can be useful in the future, just ask. Zio Yan said solemnly. He was not without doubts about this mysterious crow that suddenly appeared, but the other party threw such a precious thing to him as soon as they met, making it difficult for him to doubt it anymore. Not counting Yao Leo, selling this little fighting master hundreds of times is not worth the price. It's easy to say. Since Mr. Ape treats you as his descendant, and as a son, then I will also treat you as my own son. Mr. Ape and I are close buddies. Corpse Dance Crow used its wings said, patting his chest. Arthis. Zio Yan didn't know how to answer this, so he could only stay silent and ignore it. The Corpse Dancer Crow activated its innate ability to mask its aura, and a thick black smoke emerged, covering its entire body. Then, the body of the corpse dancer suddenly expanded, and the light and shadow were distorted. Zio Yan found that where it was, there was only a blurry transparent shadow. If he hadn't been sure that the other party was there and deliberately looked at this direction, he would not have been able to detect its existence. Yao Chen's voice sounded in Zio Yan's heart. This is not a simple blind trick. I noticed a trace of space power. The space is distorted to a certain extent, and there is a powerful soul power, isn't it? The power of space, a powerful Dao Zhang, a 7th level monster? A trace of horror flashed in Zio Yan's eyes. No, it is at most 5 levels. It should be that it has unique spatial talents, so it has been touched in advance. Yao Chen explained. The corpse dancer flew over and grabbed Zio Yan's shoulder with its claws. Zio Yan found that his figure had become nothing more than a blurry shadow. They flew through the sky with great swagger, and all the guards were unaware of it. After Zio Yan was nervous at the beginning, he relaxed and felt a little unreal. This kind of sneaking in was a little too relaxed. Before, he was in the desert, which was not a short distance away from the city, and was almost exhausted trying to avoid the patrols. But now he was in the city. Although no foreign enemies invaded, Queen Medusa still carefully divided the breath of strange fire into 4 parts. To confuse possible enemies, the breath is placed in 4 different directions: east, south, west and north. The 8 leaders of the snake tribe worked in pairs, guarding all directions. Yao Chen relied on his understanding of the strange fire to accurately find out the true location of the strange fire. The people guarding here are Yumei, the leader of the charming snake tribe, Mobus, the leader of the black snake tribe, and Huashena, the captain of the Medusa guards. The command of the scene is in the hands of Huashena. In addition to the originally patrolling guards, even Eumedian mobs need to temporarily obey her orders with Huashena as a big insider. Xiao Yan and Corpse Dance Crow's infiltration was naturally very smooth. They seemed to know the guard's route map and didn't encounter any trouble along the way. Xiao Yan was a little surprised. Why haven't I seen any snake people? Corpse Dance Crow replied, because we are sneaking in. Sneaking in. Naturally, we need to avoid all the opponent's hands. Is this something that can be avoided if you want to? Xiao Yan muttered in his heart. He didn't think too much and regarded it as the special talent of the Corpse Dancer Crow. It's right here. Be careful. The aura of the strange fire is getting stronger and stronger, and it's very close. Yao Chen reminded. Xiao Yan conveyed Yao Chen's suggestions to Corpse Dance Crow, walked through the long and narrow corridors, and came to a lake. Corpse Dance Crow reminded, you can walk ahead by yourself. The lake is highly poisonous and there is an energy restriction above that makes it impossible to fly. This is not something I'm good at dealing with. Xiao Yan nodded, and under the protection of Yao Chen Bone Spirit's cold fire, he quickly crossed the lake like a swimming fish and arrived at the small island in the middle of the lake. There was a large piece of bamboo on the small island in the middle of the lake. Xiao Yan adjusted his breathing before slowly walking forward. After advancing for a certain distance, Xiao Yan saw a circular open area with a small pool in the center, filled with ice spirit cold spring. In the center of the pool, there is a special lotus seed carved from crystal, and a ball of blue flame is rising from the rosette. Kinglian earth heart fire. However, although Xiao Yan was filled with longing, he only glanced at it and then looked away. Because in front of the pool, there is a figure that is even more noteworthy. It was a beautiful and coquettish woman, wearing a luxurious purple brocade robe. Her green hair hung naturally, her eyes were long and narrow in lavender shape, and her eyes were flowing and full of charm. Xiao Yan's eyes were almost involuntarily attracted to her. He was cautious about this powerful enemy and also appreciated her beauty. A burst of desire suddenly arose in his heart, and it grew stronger and stronger. There was almost only one thought in his mind: possess her. After a while, he activated his fighting spirit, suppressed his desire, and regained his clarity. What? A scary woman. His eyes wandered, not daring to look at Medusa anymore, fearing that he would not be able to control himself and be exposed. Yao Chen's voice reached Xiao Yan's ears. This is the natural charm of Queen Medusa. Although I also support you to capture her, but now we are no match. Once discovered, we will have no choice but to run away. Maybe you can try to conquer her in the future. Well, more children will bring more blessings. I don't want it. Yun's matter is enough to give me a headache. I don't know how to explain it to Zuna and Xianmeng. Xiao Yan said firmly and decisively. Chapter 386. The Method of Evolution. Medusa stared at the green flame in the center of the pool of the ice spirit cold spring. Her lilac eyes reflected the light of the flame and she hesitated a little. We have come this far. We can't retreat, she whispered softly, and the hesitation in her eyes turned into determination. Her slender hand slowly formed seals in front of her. As the last seal fell, the crystal lotus seat that bound the azure lotus earth core fire trembled violently. A layer of purple light curtain appeared, and then slowly dissipated downward from the top of the center. A terrible heat attacked all directions, and the temperature of the air seemed to have risen a lot. Is it going to start? Xiao Yan stared at the front, not looking away. The energy fluctuations emitted by the strange fire attracted all his attention, and the body of Queen Medusa exposed by the burning of her clothes could not tempt him at all. King Meng, who was in the flame state, had been paying attention to the surroundings. He had long discovered Xiao Yan, who was secretly peeping, and a smile flashed in his heart. Well, it seems that in Xiao Yan's heart, I'm more attractive. Queen Medusa was not aware that the strange fire had its own intelligence and continued her actions without any defense. She clasped her hands together slightly, constantly changing strange handprints, and the energy fluctuations between heaven and earth became more intense. An energy vortex appeared above the island in the middle of the lake, and a purple halo bloomed on Queen Medusa's body, and the light soared into the sky, rendering the entire sky purple. The energy vortex suddenly calmed down, and the dazzling purple light suddenly shone. When the purple dissipated, a purple giant snake about 10 feet long appeared in the sky. Its This Queen Medusa's body? Is she a demon beast? Xiao Yan's eyes were shocked. Yao Chen explained. It's not completely the body. The snake people are different from humans. Soon after they are born, they will be injected with the soul of a snake-shaped demon beast into their bodies using secret methods. This kind of demon beast soul as a companion soul will gradually merge with their original souls, and they will be indistinguishable from each other. During the battle, they can also reveal this kind of demon beast appearance, and their strength will surge. King Meng, who was in the image of flame, was constantly jumping. At this moment, his spirit was connected to Amon's body, who was in the same city, and not far away. All his feelings would be fed back to the body. A strong purple light rose from the purple giant snake, and the purple light spread out, covering the entire temple. This is an energy shield that can defend against enemies. If a strong enemy attacks, the snake man in the shield can also inject fighting spirit to increase the maintenance time of the shield. After circling twice, the huge purple snake rushed towards the Kinglian earth core fire. King Meng looked at the purple snake that pounced on him without making any moves, and let it be engulfed by the blue flames that constituted its body. The purple giant snake did not use fighting spirit to protect herself. The high temperature of the strange fire burned her body, causing her to scream. The huge body continued to shrink under the scorching flames, and Medusa continued to scream loudly. Amon used the Azure Lotus Earth core fire that was in close contact with her to carefully feel the changes in Medusa and explore the mystery of this evolution. In his perception, Queen Medusa's body produced a strange rule in the process of being burned by the strange fire. Connecting with the heaven and earth. Her soul was melting and slowly building a new body. On a high building in the city temple, Amon, half lying on the roof, stroking his monocle, whispered, so that it retain the origin of the soul. Peel off the outer layer of soul power and use a certain snake in the blood mark as a template. With the help of the power of heaven and earth, use the peeled soul power to build a new body so as to achieve the purpose of returning to the ancestors. No wonder Queen Medusa's consciousness fell into a deep sleep after her evolution. Her soul power was used to build a new body. There is still a lack of preparation. If you prepare something that can be used to restore soul power in advance, you won't be so embarrassed later. Well, the snake people also migrated from the northern continent. This secret method of soul fusion of magic beasts has certain similarities with the Mo family's magic beast transformation method. It should also be one of the barbarian secret methods of fusion of magic beasts. Wait until the things on the Jama Empire are settled, and then go to the northern continent. There seem to be many loopholes in this fusion method that can be exploited. If it is used well, it should be able to quickly improve the strength of the main body. At worst, it can also be used to strengthen the clone. Mobus and Yumei, who were guarding this temple, showed worry on their faces. They could faintly hear the shrill roar of Queen Medusa. Mobus swam back and forth restlessly, and his thick black snake tail made pits on the ground. Mobus, can you stop spinning? You're annoying me. Yumei glared at him in annoyance. Mobus stopped and said in a rough voice, but Her Majesty the Queen. You heard those voices, right? In addition to loyalty, Mobus, as a male snake man, also admired Queen Medusa. This made him more concerned about her condition. We are also worried, but there is no point in worrying. This is not an invasion by foreign enemies. We can't help. She can only rely on herself. Huashena responded. In the strange fire, the purple giant snake had almost all its scales fallen off, and its whole body was charred. Xiao Yan faintly smelled the body fragrance from Queen Medusa. The smell of barbecue. The giant snake that was originally about 10 feet long now only has 2 or 3 feet left. The screams had stopped for a while, and the charred giant snake seemed to have turned into a corpse, making no sound. A huge thunderbolt fell from the dark clouds in the sky and smashed into the strange fire, and then everything fell into silence. Did it fail? Is she already dead? Xiao Yan, who was observing secretly, showed a somewhat eager expression. Now is a good time to steal Kinglian's earth core fire. Wait a moment. Yao Chen looked serious. To be careful, please observe for a while. At This moment, a terrifying aura rose into the sky, and the terrifying power fluctuations made Xiao Yan unable to breathe, as if he would suffocate in the next second. Xiao Yan's face froze, and he was glad in his heart that he listened to the teacher's advice. He asked, "Teacher, this aura may have the strength of Daozang, yes?" Yao Chen nodded, "But you don't need to panic. This aura feels a bit weak. So even if Queen Medusa evolves successfully, her current condition will not be very good." It did not exceed his expectations, and the terrifying aura emanating from the snake corpse quickly dissipated. Yao Chen said quickly, "Now, go steal the strange fire, and then we leave immediately. When the leaders of the snake tribe arrive, we will be in trouble." "Use the lotus platform you got in the magma. That thing can contain strange fire without consuming your fighting energy." Without hesitation, Xiao Yan shot out like a sharp arrow. Chapter 387. Snakes don't matter. Queen Medusa's aura surged to Daozang for a moment, breaking through the light shield she had laid before her evolution, and then quickly retreated like a tide. The other three commanders who felt the change in her aura also realized where the queen's true body was. One by one, their Daoki turned into wings, vibrated their wings, and rushed here at the fastest speed. Mobus was eager to enter the center of the temple to check on Queen Medusa, but was stopped by Huashie. "Get out of the way. I want to see if Her Majesty the Queen succeeded. Even if she failed, going in early might help her." Mobus's expression was full of worry. Huashie had already taken out her spear and blocked the entrance of the temple. "Shut up. This is the order that Her Majesty the Queen gave me before. No one is allowed to enter when she is evolving, but now the evolution is over." Mobus said dissatisfiedly, "Yumei, do you think we should go to check on the queen?" Medi hesitated for a moment and stood on Mobus' side. "I also think that we should prioritize confirming the queen's condition. If Her Majesty the Queen is injured, we can also assist in treatment earlier." "No means no. Whoever wants to go in, just ask my spear first." Huashie held the spear, and the fighting spirit began to surge in her body. Mobus and Yumei were both a little helpless. They were purely out of concern for the queen, and had no other intentions. There was no need to fight with Huashie for this. Alas. Mobus, who was rejected, began to walk around again, and his thickened black tail slapped holes on the ground. Yumei's forehead jumped, and she was upset by Mobus's shaking point. When they didn't notice, the corners of Huashie's mouth slowly lifted up, outlining a smile. Because Guhi was dead, no one else wanted to take the strange fire. So if Xiao Yan wanted to get the Azure Lotus Earth Core fire after Queen Medusa evolved, he had to use other methods to contain the 8 commanders. Huashie's identity as the captain of Queen Medusa's personal guard was very useful at this time. Medusa might give Huashie some orders that the other commanders didn't know, especially in terms of her own safety. So, as long as it wasn't too outrageous, the 8 commanders would only obey. After Xiao Yan quickly approached and burned Medusa, he temporarily fell into the calmest range. Fire. His pupils suddenly shrank, and his feet plowed 2 deep marks on the ground like an emergency break. Lightning arcs appeared on his legs. A flash of thunder. This fighting skill passed down from the Ape Lord has reached the advanced level of the Zuan level in terms of grade, and its speed is faster than the explosive step left to him by Yan Jin. So the fighting skill scroll of explosive step is still gathering dust in his storage ring. Xiao Yan retreated backwards, staring at the charred snake corpse in horror. I saw that a big bulge had appeared in the abdomen of the corpse, as if something was about to burst out of the chest. A small colorful light rushed towards Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's face changed drastically. He knew clearly that the thing was not something he could fight, so he decisively asked for help. "Teacher, Yao." Chen did not delay either. The bone spirit cold fire emerged instantly, surrounding Xiao Yan, preventing the colorful streamer from approaching. The colorful streamer suddenly stopped, and Xiao Yan could see the other party's appearance clearly. This was a colorful little snake, without the coldness of ordinary snakes, giving people a cute and lovely feeling, and there was a faint strange fragrance on the body. The colorful little snake seemed to be a little afraid of the white bone spirit cold fire, and did not dare to move forward. But it was unwilling to leave, tilting its little head to look at Xiao Yan, with a pair of big eyes revealing curiosity. Is this Queen Medusa?" Xiao Yan rolled his Adam's apple and asked a little dryly. Yao Chen thought for a while and responded, well, her previous companion soul, that is, the purple giant snake, was the purple ghost flame snake, which is said to have the blood of some ancient beast. Now, its body is colorful, its pupils are slightly purple, and its body is fragrant. I'm afraid it is a 7-colored swallowing sky python that has been extinct in ancient times. It is said that when it is fully developed, it can reach the level of Daosheng. Daosheng. This word made Xiao Yan stunned. Just the Dao Huang he had seen before had already shown great power. If he reached the realm of Daosheng, he might really have the power to penetrate the heaven and earth, right? He looked at the colorful little snake's big watery eyes without any hostility and inexplicably thought of King Lin. She, like this little snake, gave people a pitiful feeling. Poor Queen Medusa? Damn, am I crazy? Xiao Yan was incredible about the thoughts that arose in his mind. Take another look at the little snake. It was wagging its tail like a happy puppy seeing its owner. Although Queen Medusa evolved successfully, it seemed that there was a small accident. Otherwise she should have slapped herself to death as an intruder. Xiao Yan licked his lips and laughed. Teacher, it seems that she doesn't have any bad intentions. Why don't you remove the bone spirit cold fire and try? Yao Chen hesitated for a moment and slowly withdrew the strange fire. Xiao Yan carefully reached out his hand, and the little snake rubbed Xiao Yan's fingers with its head very intimately, and crawled onto his hand docilely. Success. Seeing that the first step was unusually smooth, Xiao Yan relaxed a lot. Teacher, I have a bold idea. This is not good. She is a snake now. Yao Chen's tone was slightly hesitant. It doesn't matter if it's a snake. Xiao Yan answered without hesitation. Yao Chen was startled and said in a strange voice, so you like this? But I still suggest you wait until she becomes a human. Well, it's not too late. Xiao Yan didn't understand what Yao Chen was talking about for a while. Then he heard Yao Chen continue, since this is your interest, I don't object. It's okay to be a grassroots hero. Many children, many blessings. Many children, many blessings. After repeating this word, Xiao Yan's face suddenly turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. I mean to keep her as a pet, old man. What are you thinking? At this time, a wet crow flew over. Xiao Yan turned his head and asked, why are you here, brother crow? It seems that there is a lot of noise here, and I'm worried about your safety, so I swam over to take a look. The corpse dance crow glanced at Queen Medusa wrapped around Xiao Yan's wrist, and suddenly showed a look of realization. Snakes are okay. Snakes are okay. Many children bring good fortune. Prince Ape told me that he must watch you pass on his fighting skills to the next generation. This is his last wish. Xiao Yan, the 7-colored sky-swallowing python, seemed to sense Xiao Yan's unhappiness and climbed up his arm to his shoulder. Then it raised its head and let out a few soft hisses at him. With a gentle tone, like a whisper between lovers, it stuck out its tongue and licked Xiao Yan's cheek. Xiao Yan felt that his cheek was a little moist and the touch was a little soft. Chapter 388. This is MEDUSA and -039, S own choice. Although he was worried and afraid, Xiao Yan still put his bold idea into practice. He held the tail of the 7-colored sky-swallowing python in his arms, and then took out the cyan lotus platform from the ring. Teacher, what should we do now? Xiao Yan asked carefully, not daring to approach the azure lotus earth core fire. Yao Chen stroked his monocle and replied, just use Dao Key to control the lotus platform to approach. The azure lotus earth core fire originally grew from this lotus platform, and the lotus platform is the best support. Hearing this, Xiao Yan stretched out his right hand and slowly sent out the lotus platform. The cyan lotus platform rotated at a very low speed, approaching the flame suspended in the air. Xiao Yan stared at the front with a nervous look. If the lotus platform was useless, the difficulty of taking away the strange fire would increase by many times. King Meng looked at Xiao Yan's expectant and nervous expression and smiled badly. The cyan flame jumped and flew away slowly in the opposite direction. Teacher, what should we do? This method doesn't work. Is there any other way? Xiao Yan was still not calm enough and urged Yao Chen anxiously. Yao Chen was also surprised. It shouldn't be. Why would it resist returning to the lotus platform? Just When Zhao Yan was anxious to rush up, the Azure Lotus Earth Heart Fire slowly floated back and landed safely on the Lotus platform. Zhao Yan breathed a sigh of relief. The scene just now scared him a lot, since the strange fire is in hand. Let's leave quickly. The 8 commanders may be gathering soon. If they are worried about Medusa's situation and come in to check, it will be troublesome. The corpse dance crow said. Well, trouble brother crow, Zhao Yan said with joy, while holding the lotus platform containing the strange fire. Black mist spread from the black crow, and the space was faintly distorted. It grabbed Zhao Yan with its claws. The figures of one man and one beast gradually faded, leaving only a transparent outline. The corpse dance crow flapped its wings and flew quickly at low altitude, avoiding the snakemen along the way and flying away. When it left the temple and was far away from the Dalwang strongmen of the snake tribe and was not easy to be discovered, it quickly took off and flew at full speed from high altitude. Brother Crow, please help me find an uninhabited area on the edge of the desert. I need a place where I won't be disturbed when absorbing the strange fire, Zhao Yan asked. I know. The corpse dance crow replied softly. The wind in the sky was very strong, and it was painful when it blew on the face, but Zhao Yan seemed to be unaware of it. He looked at the strange fire on the lotus platform in his right hand and kept smiling foolishly. In front of the temple of the snake people, the 8 commanders gathered together. Yan Ci, the leader of the Yansh tribe, had a more irritable temper than Mobus. He stared at the interior of the temple, ignored Huashela, and walked inside. I want to see the queen's situation. Come back here. You are not allowed to go in. Do you want to disobey the order of Her Majesty the Queen? Huashela asked coldly. I'm going in. If you want to attack me, just attack me. I won't fight back. Yan Ci acted like a tough guy. Huashela seemed extremely helpless, but after all, they were colleagues, so she couldn't really attack directly. She had to cross her spear and block Yan Ci. However, her strength was not as good as Yan Ci's. The latter advanced step by step, and she retreated step by step. Enough. Don't be presumptuous, Yan Ci. A slightly old voice shouted. The speaker was a snake man in a grey robe. Compared with the other commanders, he was older, but his prestige seemed very high. Yan Ci really stopped. Commander Yanshi. Huashela bowed slightly and greeted him. What did Her Majesty tell you? Yanshi asked with a frown. Her Majesty said that, no matter what the situation is, don't disturb her within 3 days. If she still doesn't come out after 3 days, ask the elders to come out to preside over the situation. Huashela replied. Yanshi shook his head. 3 days is too long. 3 hours. We will go in after 3 hours. I hope you won't stop us then. Huashela hesitated. Her eyes swept across the 8 commanders one by one, and then she nodded slowly. Okay. Zhao Yan had already left, and Amon didn't want to continue to stop them. If it wasn't for maintaining Huashela's personality, he wouldn't stop them now. 3 hours later, when the 8 commanders came to the inner part of the temple and the island in the middle of the lake, they saw only a shrunken snake corpse that was roasted into charcoal by the strange fire. There is no breath of life at all. Imodu, the second commander of the snake people, felt the surroundings and whispered softly, Your Majesty. Mobase and Yumei exclaimed together, and the two of them rushed forward together. When Yumei's palm touched the snake corpse, the charred corpse immediately turned into ashes and rifted away. Yumei looked at her palm blankly and then looked at the flying ashes at the scene, at a loss. It seems to have failed. Alas. Yanshi sighed. Wait, where is the strange fire? The leader of the snake tribe, Nunch, found something missing at the scene and showed a puzzled look on his face. Yeah, where is the strange fire? Mobus looked around but never found the target. An old woman appeared behind the 8 leaders without knowing when, and she spoke in a cold voice. Someone has been here, and he was secretly watching. When Medusa was evolving, she waved her hand, and a snake corpse that had been soaked in water for a long time appeared on the ground. This is the corpse of the poisonous snake that Zhao Yan killed when he went to the small island in the middle of the lake. Great Elder. The commanders bowed slightly and saluted. Your Majesty's evolution failed because of someone's interference? Yan Shi's face became very ugly. He suddenly turned his attention to Huashia and asked in a cold voice, shouldn't you explain it? As the commander of the guard, this is how you protect His Majesty. The Great Elder of the Snake Men clan also looked over, with a hint of anger in his sinister tone. How dare you try such a dangerous method? If the success rate of evolution is really that high, why didn't the patriarchs in the past look for strange fires while we are in seclusion? If you secretly do something like this, do you still think of us elders? Mobus and you many are both the guardians of the East Temple, and they also have certain responsibilities. The two of them looked at each other, looking at Huashia with a hint of suspicion. If Queen Medusa failed due to interference from foreign enemies, then Huashia's previous behavior in stopping them would become suspicious when the rest of the people put pressure on Huashia. Yan Jin, who had been blocked by her before, didn't think so much. He looked at the two footprints angrily and cursed in a low voice, damn humans. Being stared at by everyone like this, Huashia didn't show any signs of nervousness. She used her fighting spirit to form a monocle, put it on her right eye, and smiled softly. How could I not take the elders seriously? It's because I was worried that you would stop her. So Medusa chose to put evolution in your retreat time. She keeps talking about you four old guys, saying that the snake people are weak because they don't have the courage to fight to the death. Seeing that snake spoke to the elder in such an attitude, both Mobus and Yan Jin looked shocked. Yan Jin shouted, you don't want your life? How dare you speak to the elder like this? Why don't you apologize quickly? Huashia said, no brain. Yan Jin wanted to say something more, but Yan Jin stopped him. An old voice sounded, aren't you Huashia? Who are you? Does the death of Her Majesty the Queen have something to do with you? Dao Wang's aura is rising, and his energy is locked on Huasnaka, and he may give out a thunderous blow at any time. Amon controlled Huashia's body and said, I'm Huashia. This is Medusa's own choice. As for death, who said she was dead? She was alive and well, and her evolution was successful. She was just a little underprepared, and had a little accident. This is Medusa's own choice. The Great Elder repeated this sentence in his heart, thinking secretly. Could it be that Medusa knew about Huashia's anomaly? Was this her acquiescence? She uses the strange fire to evolve without telling us, and has her own plan. So it seems that she has some secret collaborators. Huashia's identity seems not simple. She is still alive. The Great Elder stared at Huashia, restrained his anger, and asked calmly, then why did you leave quietly? Or is it you? Or what did you do to her? Huashia pinched her monocle and responded with a chuckle. She successfully unearthed the most powerful power deep in her bloodline and returned to her ancestors to become an ancient beast, the colorful sky-swallowing python. I didn't force her to do anything. It was all her own choice. Colorful sky-swallowing python. The snake people deal with snakes and are naturally familiar with the name of this legendary extinct ancient snake, and they all showed horror. You say you have no proof. How can you expect me to believe you? The Great Elder was dubious. Isn't the status of Her Majesty the Queen's personal guard not enough? I have said enough. I'll explain the rest to you when Her Majesty comes back. At the end, Huashia added, I came into contact with some people from the northern continent. When will Medusa come back? The Great Elder believed it. As little as 3 to 5 years. As many as 6 or 7 years. Then you wait with us for 6 or 7 years. The Great Elder suddenly formed a seal with his hands, and a dark green snake-shaped pattern appeared, turning into a ray of light and sinking into Huashia's body. This is the snake's sealing spell, and Haboden was hit by this move. After being sealed, Huashia's aura quickly weakened, becoming only the level of a great fighting master. I hope what you said is true, otherwise I will taste the punishment of thousands of snakes eating my heart. She looked unconcerned. If my cultivation is sealed, I won't be able to practice anymore. These 6 or 7 years can't be wasted, right? I want to study more deeply the secret method of fusion between our snake people and snakes. Also, I need all the information about the northern continent from the clan. The Great Elder looked at her deeply and nodded in agreement. Okay. Chapter 389 AMON-039 S Spirit of Sacrifice. The corpse dancer flew Zio Yan for a long time, passed through the Tagore Desert, and came to a canyon at the junction of the mountains and the desert point. A small river meanders continuing forward. The river becomes wider and wider, and the current becomes more and more rapid. The corpse dance crow came to a mountain wall, spitting out a stream of black smoke from its mouth, corroding a large hole in the mountain wall. After flying into the cave, it put Xiao Yan down and quickly shrunk in size, turning into a crow that looked only half an arm tall. Is it okay here? Corpse dancer crow asked. It further explained, there is abundant water vapor here, and the water attribute energy is active, which can suppress the power of the alien fire to a certain extent, and help you conquer it, although the water attribute energy will be more enriched as we continue forward. We are also more likely to encounter high level monsters. Yao Chen and Xiao Yan communicated with their minds. It has chosen a good place. It is indeed suitable. The corpse dancer crow glanced at Xiao Yan, who was motionless, and said, I'll go outside to protect you. Before flying out of the cave. Yao Chen's illusory soul body appeared behind Xiao Yan. He waved his hand and used bone spirit cold fire to create a barrier to seal the entrance to the cave. Teacher, what do you think of Brother Crow? Is he really invited by Mr. Ape to help me? I always feel that he knows your existence and deliberately avoids it so that you can come out without any scruples. Xiao Yan believed most of the corpse dance crow, but there was always a trace of doubt deep in his heart. Just believe it for the time being. When the soldiers come, the water will be blocked, and the earth will cover it up. Besides, with your small body, what is there for others to worry about? Yao Chen shook his head. Xiao Yan scratched his head and smiled. Then, he looked solemnly at the green lotus platform and the flame in its center. He took out a small porcelain bottle containing elixirs and a small jade bottle with frost on the surface. The contents inside are blood lotus pill and ice spirit cold spring. Another necessary item, mailing, is in Yao Chen's hands. On the other side, King Meng, who was rooted on the lotus platform and turned into a flaming bug, a flaming lotus, and dancing flames, was thinking about how to surprise Xiao Yan. Well, yes, let's do it. King Meng made a decision. The medicine dust floated behind Xiao Yan. When he couldn't see it, he stroked his monocle and looked at Kinglian Earth Heart Fire with a trace of doubt in his eyes. He always felt that this strange fire seemed to have an inexplicable connection with himself and felt very intimate. He shook his head to get rid of this strange thought from his mind and said to Xiao Yan, let's get started. Take the blood lotus pill first. Xiao Yan heard this and did it without hesitation. The power of the blood lotus pill melted into his body, forming a layer of blood scab on his body surface and in his meridians. Quick, take advantage of the moment to seize the original fire of the strange fire. Xiao Yan gritted his teeth and stretched out his right hand to grab the blue flame that exuded terrifying heat. The hot flames licked his body and the blood scab was melting rapidly. Even with the protection of the blood lotus pill, he still felt unbearable burning pain. Zuna, Xiao Meng, Yan Jin, beautiful faces appeared in his mind, followed by the arrogant Malin Yanran, the sarcastic Xiao Ning, the disdainful Xiao Ken, and the disgusted and gloating Xiao Jade. Those who encouraged him, supported him, ridiculed him in the past emerged one after another. Xiao Yan was not deterred by the physical pain and silently shouted in his heart, 30 years in Hedon, 30 years in Hexy. Don't bully young people into poverty. Pass through the outer layer of flames, grab the original fire, and inhale it into the body in an instant. The flames began to burn his meridians. King Meng did not deliberately increase the difficulty, nor did he hold back, but just let nature take its course. If Xiao Yan can't pass this level, then he can't pass it. Amon can control external enemies just right every time, so that Xiao Yan is not in danger, but he will not interfere in the practice of burning dew. The accidents and setbacks he encountered while practicing also deepened Xiao Yan's understanding of burning dew, which was related to the upper limit of his strength. If even this requires Amon's intervention, then Xiao Yan, who has grown up in this way, is just a waste. How can he be expected to fight against the Soul Emperor and the evil races outside the territory? Anything without value dies when it dies. Xiao Yan is just a guaranteed option in Amon's plan. The plan is never static and may be adjusted at any time. Restrain the flame, run the technique, and let it follow your fighting spirit and travel through the meridians along the path of the technique. Always pay attention to the blood scabs in the meridians. Remember, when the blood scab is about to disappear, take the ice spirit cold spring immediately. With your current fragile meridians, if you are not careful, you will be burned to death by strange fire. Zhao Yan kept Yao Chen's teachings in mind and controlled the movement of his fighting spirit while enduring the pain caused by the strange fire point. The severe pain made him almost faint, but the obsession in his heart kept him awake time and time again. When he was about to lose consciousness, 30 years in the east of the river, 30 years in the west of the river. Don't bully young people into poverty. Repeat the vows you made over and over again. Point: this is his weakness and struggle, that he once crawled in the mud, and it is also his strength and perseverance that remain unchanged throughout his life. Point: when the strange fire was about to burn through the blood scab, Zhao Yan relied on instinct to seize the opportunity and drank the ice spirit cold spring. Point: King Meng felt like he was being sunk into an ice cellar. With a jolt, the aura on his body suddenly became much weaker. This refining was painful and tormenting for Zhao Yan. It was not pleasant to be refined by others. He wanted to fight back and burn Zhao Yan to ashes several times. Finally, Zhao Yan successfully controlled the strange fire, operated a circle of exercises, and completed the initial refining. The violent energy of the strange fire was mastered by him. Point: the next step was to press the strange fire into the nailing, and it would be a success. This step was much simpler than the previous operation of the exercises, because King Meng was not active and did not refuse. If it was a normal strange fire, this step would instinctively resist, adding a lot of trouble. Point: King Meng was sucked into the nailing without resistance and became Zhao Yan's first strange fire. Point: however, it didn't make much difference to King Meng whether he entered the nailing or not. For other strange fires, the nailing space was a prison where they were imprisoned, but King Meng could escape at any time. Point: if an ordinary person subdued a strange fire, it would end here. But Zhao Yan still had one step, which was to devour the strange fire with the burning technique. Yao Chen had no experience in this step and could not give any guidance. Zhao Yan could only rely on himself to explore. Point: he did not proceed immediately, but rested for a day to completely eliminate the physical and mental fatigue before starting. Point: Yao Chen sealed the cave and protected him. Point: in order to make Zhao Yan's practice of the burning art closer to the natural state without the interference of Amon, King Meng only retained the perception of the outside world and gave his body to the instinct of the strange fire. Point: as the first skill in fighting the sky, the burning art has unlimited potential. Although Amon's body is not prepared to practice it, he also regards it as an important observation target. Point: it is also one of his tasks to study the burning art from the perspective of the devoured and pass on the perception to the body. Point: after some adjustments, Zhao Yan's state reached the best and began to practice the burning art. Point: although he had used the burning art to devour the beast fire of the purple crystal winged lion king and advanced the burning art to the intermediate yellow level, the beast fire is different from the strange fire after all, and the two have essential differences. One was bred by a demon beast and is closer to living beings in essence, while the other was bred by heaven and earth and contains certain natural rules. Devouring begins. King Meng only felt that the origin of the azure lotus earth core fire was being extracted as his technique was running and merged into Zhao Yan's Dao Qi, becoming part of the other part is Dao Qi attribute power. So, that's it. Is this the essence of the evolution of the burning technique? Using the origin of the alien fire to evolve the cultivator's Dao Qi attributes. No wonder the alien fire, after being absorbed by the burning technique, is so weak and unable to exert its original power. Before, I was wondering how the technique evolved. Isn't the root of Dao Qi still the same root and has not changed? It turns out that the essence of evolution is the improvement of the cultivator's power essence. Heh, interesting. This is a good reference idea. It fits the goal of Amon very well. What Amon expects is always the transition of life level, which is the most fundamental desire of his divinity. The improvement of strength and combat effectiveness is just a byproduct of this goal. Of course, the two are often complementary and inseparable. Parasitic fire is different from parasitic fire on other creatures. It has a higher degree of integration. After parasitism, it takes some effort for Amon to withdraw himself. After the devouring power of the burning art is activated, it not only devours the original source of the Azure Lotus Earth core fire, but also the spiritual and Saxon King Meng's source, that are parasitic on it. He can feel that his soul is becoming incomplete and his self-will is being eroded. King Meng said, I will also become nutrients. So let's do this. Take this gift of fate well, Emperor Yan. Although he wanted to resist the devouring of the burning art and shrink his spirituality at this moment, it might cause unknown changes and backfire on Xiao Yan, so he decided to sacrifice himself. This is all for the greater benefit of Amon. Well, Amon probably has a spirit of sacrifice, and he will sacrifice for Amon. Before King Meng's consciousness was worn away, he passed his perception to the corpse dance crow flying and circling in the sky outside the cave. The corpse dance crow whispered to itself, is this the burning art? Interesting. Even if King Meng did not interfere, and even cooperated to a certain extent at the last moment, Xiao Yan still survived a narrow escape, and the energy in his body was almost uncontrollably jumping around. After a difficult struggle, and hovering on the edge of death several times, Xiao Yan finally succeeded in controlling the energy in his body, and the burning art was successfully promoted after the transformation of the Dao Qi attribute. It was operated in the same way, and it already had the effect of the intermediate Zuan level. Chapter 390 The Fire Thief. In Dao Qi continent, the difference between skills mainly depends on 4 points. First, the cyclone's ability to accommodate fighting spirit. Second, there is a difference in the quality of fighting spirit. Third, when practicing, the efficiency of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth to refine fighting spirit. The fourth is how smoothly and quickly the fighting spirit flows during battle. Xiao Yan was running the technique, feeling the full energy in his body and the tyranny and speed of the new Saiyan fighting spirit. He couldn't help but burst into heartfelt laughter. Ha 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 ha. Succeeded? Yao Chen's disembodied figure appeared from behind him. Well, it worked. Xiao Yan nodded excitedly. Yao Chen also showed a relieved smile. After all, no one had ever practiced Fenju before, and he didn't know if it had any effect. Xiao Yan's success proves that this path is feasible. Although it is difficult, if he can keep going, his future will be limitless, and he can grow to a level that even ancient races dare not despise. He sighed, as if he thought of something, showing a bit of sadness and sorrow. After looking at Xiao Yan, he cheered up again. The past has passed, and the new one will be better. He stretched out his palm and patted Xiao Yan's shoulder. Congratulations, since it has been proven that the potential of Fenju is infinite, then if you practice it, your potential will also be infinite. Although Yao Chen's words were very soft, they sounded like thunder in Xiao Yan's ears. This great happiness almost made him unable to control himself. Chirp. The colorful sky-swallowing python emerged, swam up Xiao Yan's shoulder, wagging its tail happily, and seemed to be happy for him. Speaking of which, you have to thank this little guy. It ate part of the flame energy just now, and shared the pressure for you. Yao Chen said with a smile. Xiao Yan turned his head, and looked at the colorful sky-swallowing python. He liked it, no matter how he looked at it. Look at these 7-colored shimmering scales. Look at these smart eyes. Look at these slender and graceful body curves. Speaking of which, Medusa is the name of every clan leader of the snake people. Little one, you don't have a name yet, right? Since your scales are colorful, I'll give you a name. Let's call it Kaylin. What do you think of this name? Kaylin. Xiao K. Xiao. Yan teased the colorful sky-swallowing python with his hands, and the latter looked at him with cute big eyes, and took the initiative to rub its head against his fingers. It seems that you are also very satisfied, so let's settle it, Xiao. Yang no longer cared about the colorful sky-swallowing python, and once again circulated his fighting energy. Although Fenju's luck path became more complicated, the time required for each week of operation was shorter at this moment. Green flames suddenly emerged from the shoulder on the other side of the colorful sky-swallowing python. The flames changed and quickly condensed into a figure with 2 heads, a bit fat, short limbs, a pointed soft hat on his head, and a monocle on his right eye. A Q version of Amon, devoured by the burning dew. King Meng's spirituality was damaged, but most of it was still retained, while the original kingly and earth core fire spirit, which was not much, was completely wiped out. King Meng became the only spirit in the alien fire. He was no longer in a parasitic state. Like Amon, the alien fire that split off before, he became both an alien fire and an existence of Amon. Amon. The Q version of Amon shouted happily as soon as it appeared. Fuck you. Xiao Yan was startled and pointed at the Q version of Amon in astonishment. Old teacher, what is this? Yayo. Chen was also stunned and unconsciously touched the monocle on his right eye with the knuckle of his right index finger. With a look of confusion on his face, he said with some uncertainty, "This seems to be a fire spirit." Fire spirit? Xiao Yan frowned. Yao Chen explained. According to the records in an ancient book I have seen before, certain spiritual fires may give birth to fire spirits. As the name suggests, the fire spirit is the spirit of the alien fire. It is the alien fire that has developed intelligence after thousands of years of evolution. The fire spirit is the alien fire itself and can freely control the alien fire. The fire spirit is the best companion of an alchemist. If an alchemist has the help of the fire spirit, his alchemy skills can often be greatly improved. You are also an alchemist. When refining medicine, have you ever found that smelting medicinal materials is very tedious and energy consuming? Xiao Yan nodded. That's true. Yao Chen continued. Refining medicine is divided into 3 steps. The first step is to refine the medicinal materials, the second step is to fuse the medicinal materials, and the third step is to stimulate the properties of the medicine and finally turn it into a pill. Among them, the first step of refining the medicinal materials requires constant concentration and mastering the heat, which is a great drain on the alchemist's mind. This step accounts for almost half of the difficulty of the entire alchemy process, because the fire spirit is the spirit of strange fire. It is born with extremely fine control over strange fire. It can help you control the temperature of the fire and complete the refining of medicinal materials more easily. The first step consumes less energy, and you can prepare for the second and third steps in a better state. Then your success rate of refining medicine will naturally be greatly improved, and you will be more confident to hit higher alchemist grades level. It is said that there is a fire spirit with extremely high spirituality, which can independently help you complete the first step, or even the second step, so that the alchemist only needs to perform the third step, using the wood attribute in his own soul, to stimulate the power of the medicine. What? Xiao Yan looked shocked and looked at the Q version of Amon on his shoulder with undisguised ecstasy. Teacher, I am. Well, you kid has found a treasure. You can even encounter fire spirits that are rarer than those at the top of the list of strange fires. I'm a little jealous of your luck, Yao Chen said. He said with a slightly envious tone. With its help, it will be much easier for you to conquer other strange fires in the future. It seems that Fenju is a perfect match for you. You are simply the destined person for this technique. Xiao Yan became even more excited after hearing Yao Chen's description. With his quick mind, he immediately came up with some ideas. Teacher, since the fire spirit can independently complete the first and second steps of refining the medicine, can it also do the third step? Yao Chen said dumbfounded. Good boy, why are you lazy now? If fire spirit can do the first, second, and third steps independently, what else do you, a pharmacist, need to do? I'm responsible for collecting the pills. Xiao Yang joked. Yao Chen shook his head. Do you still remember the most basic conditions for becoming an alchemist? The soul is the attribute of fire with wood in it. Yes, the third step of alchemy requires the alchemist to use the trace of wood energy in his soul to stimulate the medicinal power in the refined medicinal materials. Where does Yahoo get the wood energy? Isn't there a kind of strange fire that is fire with wood in it? For example, teacher, your Bone Age cold fire is fire with ice in it, and my Kinglian earth core fire is fire and earth attributes. Xiao Yan asked. Yao Chen raised his eyebrows. As for this, there really is such a strange fire. What kind of strange fire? Xiao Yan's eyes flashed. Yao Chen smiled and replied, the 5th ranked creature's flame. It does not have combat power, but it has endless life force. It often does not exist in the form of fire, but changes into the shape of medicinal materials and takes root in the soil. It It said that, as long as the seeds of medicinal materials are put into it, the seeds will sprout and grow rapidly, becoming medicinal materials that can be used to make elixirs. It is the strange fire that every alchemist dreams of. Zhao Yan looked forward to it. There is such a strange fire. Yao Chen gave Zhao Yan a headache. Don't even think about that kind of strange fire for the time being. The flame of life also has a characteristic, that is, it can extend the life of the holder. Once it appears, it will cause a fight between saints. Level old monsters are fighting for it, the battle of fighting saints. Zhao Yan couldn't help but shudder when he thought of that scene. However, he still held on to some thoughts. After all, a person must have a dream. What if it comes true? He looked at the Q version of Amon with bright eyes, imagining the situation where one day he would free his hands and use the alien fire to automatically refine elixirs. Meng. Q version Amon shrank back. Zhao Yan's eyes made him a little scared. You have to grow up quickly. One day in the future, after I get the flame of life, the important task of refining alchemy will be handed over to you. You are the fire from the heart of King Lian, and you like to say Meng. Then from now on I'll call you King Meng. Zhao Yan named it happily. Yao Chen couldn't help pouring cold water on him. You have to pay attention to one thing. Although the spirits of strange fire are the right-hand assistants of alchemists, once they have real wisdom, they may want to pursue freedom and not be willing to accept control and turn back on the master, isn't it? Zhao Yan was surprised. Don't think that there is no such possibility. No living being is willing to be enslaved. Therefore, if you don't want to have this hidden danger, you can also erase its intelligence and turn it into an ordinary strange fire. Yao Chen said seriously. Zhao Yan looked at King Meng with a look of hesitation on his face. You decide for yourself, as long as you don't regret it in the future. Yao Chen said softly. Zhao Yan hesitated for a long time and finally decided to keep Huoling. The possible backlash is also a thing in the future. At least for a long time in the future, it will be a good helper for me. Moreover, as long as I cultivate enough feelings when it is ignorant, then the possibility of backlash in the future will be smaller. Yao Chen nodded, seeming to agree with Zhao Yan's point of view. By the way, since the fire spirit can help me refine medicine, can it help me run my skills? My fighting spirit is mixed with the power of King Lian's inner fire, so it should also be controllable, right? Zhao Yan thought of another idea. If it is possible, then this is simply a method of automatically hanging up to practice. He rubbed his hands and looked extremely excited. Well, theoretically speaking, it's possible, Yao Chen said with some uncertainty. He felt troubled by the strange and bizarre thoughts that his disciple often had that suddenly appeared. Come on, let's give it a try. King Meng. Zhao Yan re-inhaled King Meng into his body and then started to use the technique. A week later, he called King Meng out and asked, do you remember it clearly? King Meng sat on Zhao Yan's shoulder and felt that the running route of the circle was obviously different. The advanced burning technique was much more complicated than the initial burning technique, and a look of thinking appeared on his face. He held his chin with his stubby right hand, looking slightly dazed. King Meng vaguely felt that he seemed to have made a mistake, as if he had sent the wrong message to someone. However, his memory and intelligence had declined significantly, and he quickly put this behind him. Have you remembered? If not, let's try again. Zhao Yan was good at tempting Meng. King Meng jumped up slightly, then sat down, re-entered Zhao Yan's meridians, and drove the fighting energy to run along the path of burning dew. It's done. Zhao Yan waved his fist excitedly and applauded his fantastic idea. Chapter 391 The Price of Becoming Stronger. Seeing that Zhao Yan's attempt was successful, Yao Chen was stunned and looked stunned. Is it really okay? A technique that can be practiced independently. Yao Chen is very clear about what this means from now on. Zhao Yan doesn't have to go out of his way to practice. Huoling will spontaneously help him improve his fighting spirit. Even if the burning technique is no longer upgraded, this characteristic alone makes it comparable to most earth-level techniques. The burning technique actually has such a hidden use. This is simply a cheating device for training. Yao Chen clicked his tongue in amazement. Ha 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 ha. Zhao Yan smiled proudly with his hands on his hips, Feeling that a bright future was waving to him, the smile on Yeo Chen's face became a little stronger. It seems that the day when someone goes to Yunlin sect to propose marriage is not far away. Sigh. That's still a bit far away. I have to wait until I become a Daohuang or a 6th grade alchemist before I can qualify. Besides, Zuna and Xianmeng, Zhao. Yan rubbed the back of his head out of habit. His body suddenly stiffened, and the smile on his face gradually solidified. He shook his right hand and touched it from the back of his head to his forehead. Gone. All gone. Not a single hair of his was left. Zhao Yan quickly took out a mirror from the ring and then saw a head without hair and eyebrows, as bald as a braised egg. This was King Meng's doing. Before his intelligence was wiped out, he used strange fire to burn off Zhao Yan's hair. Zhao Yan stared blankly at the bald head in the mirror, unable to believe that this was him. He said in a trembling voice, "Old teacher, Yeo." Chen said with a smile, "It was probably burned away when you absorbed the strange fire. You have gained such great benefits, so consider this a small price to pay for becoming stronger." Zhao Yan felt it made sense and felt much better when he thought about it. Anyway, it's just a temporary ugliness, and it will be fine once it grows out. Compared to the benefits he gained from refining the strange fire, this price was simply negligible. As soon as Zhao Yan took a breath, he heard Yeo Chen say leisurely, "It seems that there are only about 3 months left before you go to Yunlin sect for your 3-year appointment." 3 months, it should be able to grow out. Zhao Yan touched the top of his head and muttered softly, "Well, there seems to be a layer of fire attribute energy crystals condensed on your scalp. Your hair will probably not grow back until the energy crystals disappear." Yeo Chen said with a bit of gloating. Zhao Yan's breath froze and his eyes widened. "No, isn't it? Do I have to go to Yunlin sect with this look?" He was crying and looking like this. Even if he won the battle, he would still lose. When he thought that Yunzi might see him like this, he felt that there was darkness ahead. Zhao Yan tried to refine these crystals, but found that they were all composed of strange fires, and they did not know what kind of changes had occurred, making them extremely difficult to refine. "Teacher, what can you do?" Zhao Yan asked for help. Yeo Chen shook his head and replied, "This is your strange fire energy. If I forcibly use bone spirit cold fire to melt it, it will only cause a violent conflict between the two strange fires and cause an explosion. Maybe you can ask the little guy on your shoulder. Maybe it can do something." Yes, King Meng is a fire spirit, so it should be able to solve this problem. Zhao Yan turned to look at King Meng and pointed at his bald head with his index finger. "Little guy, can you help me get rid of these things, Meng?" King Meng stared at Zhao Yan's head for a long time before pinching the monocle on his right eye with his chubby short hand. This action made Zhao Yan raise his eyebrowless eyebrows. King Meng slowly stretched out his hand and stroked Zhao Yan's head. Then the energy crystal became thicker. "Meng." King Meng showed a big smile and cheered. Zhao Yan was stunned for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, "Asshole, I asked you to eliminate this, not to make it thicker." King Meng seemed to be frightened by his behavior, showing a scared look, turning into flames, and disappearing on his shoulders. The strange fire crystals on Zhao Yan's head were so thick that they could even be seen with the naked eye, glowing with a glistening green light. The colorful sky swallowing python's eyes lit up when it looked at those energy crystals. As a fire attribute beast, it was very interested in things rich in fire attribute energy. It lingered on Zhao Yan's head, and he closed his eyes comfortably and began to rest. Zhao Yan, there was nothing he could do with these two guys, so he had to sigh and plan to buy a wig and wear it. "Teacher, where is Brother Crow?" "It flew away after you finished evolving the burning technique in the vast desert. The night is very quiet, and this vast land seems to be covered with a layer of quiet black veil. The hot sand that had been burned by the sun during the day has cooled down. A gust of wind blew by, causing ripples on the sand surface, like a flowing scroll. A bright moon hangs high in the sky, casting a cool glow. Under the pure light, among the messy rubble, a thin young man wearing a black classical robe and a pointed hat sat on a rock pillar that was eroded by wind and sand, as if it might break at any time, and stared at the sky. He bent his right leg and stepped on a protruding position of the rock pillar, while his left leg hung naturally. His eyes were closed, as if he was taking a nap, or as if he was concentrating on something. After a long time, he opened his eyes, raised his right hand, stroked the monocle on his right eye, and smiled slightly. Uashir created an illusion in front of the elders of the snake people that she was connected to a certain barbarian force in the northern continent, and also made them initially believe that Queen Medusa had some contact with this force. The doubtful Grand Elder decided to wait for Queen Medusa's return, which could take up to 6 or 7 years, which was not a long time. There were two main factors that made her initially believe what Uashir said. One was that the other party was the captain of Queen Medusa's personal guard, and the other was that Uashir's final attitude was very abnormal. Even if she bears some responsibility for the evolution of Queen Medusa, the punishment will not kill her. There is no need to tell a lie that can be easily exposed. And if Queen Medusa really failed to evolve and died, then a new Medusa must be cultivated. For the cultivation of a new generation of Medusa, the most talented female snake man from the snake man tribe will be selected as the gestator, and the potential of her child will be increased through secret methods before they are born. Before their children reach adulthood and the new Medusa has grown up, the Karajiva will assume the power of Queen Medusa. As one of the two most talented female snake people in the snake people race besides the contemporary queen, she and Yumei are both very likely to be chosen as the incubators. In this case, she will not be severely punished. Therefore, the elders are more inclined to believe that what Uashir said is true, and they also hope that what she says is true. However, Uashir couldn't produce any more evidence. So to be on the safe side, the Great Elder sealed her cultivation and put her under house arrest. In exchange, during this period, the elders will try their best to satisfy Uashir's small but not excessive demands. If what she said is true, after the successfully evolved Medusa returns, she will still be the captain of the personal guard, and there is no need to cause too much trouble. The lies told by Amon could not withstand too much scrutiny, but their hopes for the leader of the colorful sky-swallowing python made them subconsciously ignore the suspicious points and be willing to wait for a few years. Through Uashir, Amon obtained more information about the northern continent and the barbarians. Compared to the Mo family, the records of the snake people are much more detailed. A horse crow broke the silence of the night. The crow with red eyes and white circles flapped its wings and fell from the sky. It stayed on Amon's shoulder and reported, Xiao Yan has absorbed the Kinglian earth core fire. Fenju has the effect of improving the practitioner's strength essence. King Meng judged that it is valuable to study it. Past the insights King Meng passed on to him at that time to Amon's body through spiritual connection. Amon was silent for 2 seconds, and a stream of light separated from his body, transforming into Amon, who was dressed the same, but without glasses on his right eye. The newly appeared Amon only had the strength of a fighting master. He pinched his eye sockets, looked at the main body and asked, "Tell me, do you have any dirty work or death-related work for me?" Amon had a warm smile on his face. "It's not that dangerous. You should try practicing Fenju. Amon will judge that it is worth studying." A green flame emerged from the palm of Amon's body. He waved his hand, and throughout the divided Kinglian earth core fire. The clone Amon immediately sat cross-legged on the ground and began to refine the flame Amon. The process went smoothly without any surprises. After all, the strange fire he refined was originally Amon's clone, so there would naturally be no resistance. Subsequently, the clone Amon began to run the burning dew, preparing to swallow the flame. Amon evolved the technique. The process was also very smooth. After Fenju advanced, the main body, which maintained a certain degree of spiritual connection with the clone, immediately noticed the difference. Fenju's operating route is not fixed as King Meng said, but will change with the evolution of the technique. However, when he severed the spiritual connection with his clone, he strangely found that all he could remember in his mind was the exercise route map before Fenju advanced, and the exercise after the advancement seemed to have been as if it were imprisoned. Only the Fenju practitioners and the strange fire they refined could remember. Amon stroked his monocle and smiled with interest. "Interesting. It seems that by using Fenju to swallow the strange fire, you can get not only the enhancement of the essence of fighting spirit, but also special and restricted knowledge. The weird technique has a shadow of the rules of heaven and earth in it." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 392, Blackhorn Region. Amon did some more experiments. He connected with Amon of Burning Decision again, and remembered the root of the evolved Burning Decision point. Then he used the spirit worms to fill the meridians with the same rules, and then cancelled the mental connection, trying to use the spirit worms to record the advanced Burning Decision point, but it still failed. The moment he forgot the burning decision, the spirit worms also became disordered uncontrollably. After using various methods and failing to successfully record the path of the advanced burning decision, Amon temporarily put it aside. He also cut off the connection between Amon, who was practicing the burning decision, and the strange fire, making him lose the strange fire point. So the level of this Amon skill dropped significantly. But it did not drop to the level before refining, but was higher than that point. Because the nature of Amon of Burning Decision's fighting spirit has been affected, it has become closer to the strange fire. This will also affect the level of his Burning Decision point. Amon kept this clone who practiced the Burning Decision. Of course, he did not want to practice this skill, but was interested in some mechanisms involving rules contained in the skill point. For example, forget, fusion, dominate a pure spirit insect merged into the strange fire, filling the spiritual loss of the strange fire. Amon, during the refining process of the burning dew point, the blue flame turned into a smart fire snake, drilled into Amon's body, and disappeared. Amon supported the rock with both hands and suddenly jumped up. The corpse dance crow circled, and its body size suddenly increased to several feet in size, catching him. Landing steadily on the back of the corpse dance crow, Amon whispered, "Let's go to Cannon Academy, and take the fallen heart flame first." The corpse dance crow vibrated its wings and quickly flew across the sky. This kind of magic beast that is born to fly consumes much less energy when flying than the fighting spirit wings, so it has a great advantage in long distance travel. In the sky, the wind whistled, bringing a hint of coldness. Amon felt that his fighting spirit had reached a limit, and a feeling of fullness spread all over his body. This was a sign of a breakthrough. He did not let the corpse dance crow stop, but just waved his hand, and the flame Amon appeared beside him. "Protect me." With a casual command, Amon swallowed 2 pure spirit worms, devoured their souls with the soul devouring talent, and then closed his eyes and began to concentrate on refining the energy contained in their bodies. After transforming into a human body, his absorption efficiency has been greatly improved, and the power of the spirit worm is the same as his. Although the level is slightly lower than the original body, it only needs a little purification. A few seconds later, Amon opened his eyes. He has completed the breakthrough and became a 6th level magic beast, or a Daohuang strongman. Amon came from Douluo, and the talent transformed from his original strength corresponds to the Daosheng level in Dupo. As long as he does not do something that damages his potential, there will be no bottleneck before Daosheng. Therefore, some of the barriers in cultivation that seem difficult to ordinary people are like thin paper that can be broken with a poke here. However, after such a long period of exploration, he has a better understanding of the upgrade mechanism of Dupo. Losing potential is not a serious problem. There are still many ways to make up for it. Just use some specific treasures. The reason why Amon still uses a steady method to practice instead of being more radical is that, if his potential is lost, the treasures needed to make it up are very rare. It must be at the level of Daosheng. Maybe the time he spends looking for similar items will be longer than the time he spends practicing normally, of course, if the conditions are right. Amon doesn't mind exchanging potential for combat power and improving himself in the shortest time. After flying for more than a dozen days and nights, the mountains below became sparse. Looking far away, you can see that at the end of the horizon, there is a dark plain, like a dividing line, dividing the world. Cannon College is located in the Blackhorn region. This dark plain is called the Black Region Great Plain and is the gateway to the Blackhorn region. The Blackhorn region is known as the most chaotic place on the continent, gathering vicious fugitives from various countries. In addition to humans, there are also various races. Just like a small miniature of the continent point, there are no laws here. Only the most primitive law of the jungle point. The weak have no protection here, and the strong can dominate everything they wantonly point. Although he broke through to the Daohuang, Amon did not show off, following the usual caution and prudence point. After locking the location of a small town, he let the corpse crow land on the ground and prepared to walk over. The corpse crow turned into the size of an ordinary crow and landed on Amon's shoulder, stepping on the black land. Amon walked slowly. The wind on the plain was blowing, and the hem of the black robe danced with the wind. Amon pressed down the brim of his hat, and his dark eyes reflected this black world. There were dark clouds in the sky, and the sun had not appeared for a long time. On the empty land, the view was extremely wide, and several leafless trees grew obliquely, and the twisted posture was like the claws of demons. Scavenging birds were circling in the sky, and small animals ran from a distance from time to time. After walking for half a day, Amon arrived in front of the town he had discovered in the air before. Several sharp arrows shot from a distance, aiming directly at Amon's head and heart. With no intention of holding back, an invisible fighting spirit shield unfolded in front of him, deflecting the arrows. Stop. Are you a newcomer to the Black Corner territory? Don't you know the rules of stopping 500 meters before the settlement, waiting for the patrol to come, paying 500 gold coins, and then coming in with the patrol? A big man with a black python tattooed on his shoulder held a bow and stopped dozens of steps in front of Amon. It was obvious that he had shot the arrows just now. Behind him were two equally tall men. All three of them were shirtless and had fierce looks on their faces, making them look very intimidating. Amon stroked his monocle, and the starlight flowed and disappeared in a flash. He smiled and replied, "It is indeed my first time to come to the Black Corner domain. Can I get a discount? I'm a student." The big man holding a bow looked him up and down and said, "Oh, you are a student of Cannon College? Well, just give me 400 gold coins. After all, Cannon College is the pride of our Black Corner territory." Amon threw a money bag over the big man, took the money bag, and showed a generous smile. "Come with us. There are many rules in this town. Don't run around casually. Others are not so easy to talk to." He slowly approached Amon and found that the latter seemed to be a fledgling kid. He was not prepared at all, and the smile on his face gradually turned ferocious. "Brother, let me teach you another rule. In the Black Corner domain, never let others know that you are a newcomer." The sound of the sword entering the body sounded, and the smile of the big man holding the bow froze, with only confusion and shock on his face. His two companions, one on the left and one on the right, pierced his chest with weapons. "Well, I've learned a lesson, but after killing you, I shouldn't be considered a newcomer." The three standing people simultaneously showed the same weird smile to the big man, who was slowly falling. Chapter 393, Amon and GG Monster 039's first meeting. The chaos in the Blackhorn region can be seen in these small towns in the Black Region Plain. Although it is not deep yet, it is not far from the normal country, but it is already in a very disorderly state. Amon had just entered the town for less than 5 minutes, and had not walked more than 300 steps, but he had already witnessed 3 murders, although he was the one who did all 3. TSK, I just asked for directions. Is it necessary to be so irritable? You greeted my family as soon as you opened your mouth. Although I don't mind it, but if a grasshopper jumps at my feet, I don't mind stepping on it to death. Amon muttered to himself and stepped on a thin but fierce looking woman on the ground. He crushed one of her palms like crushing a beetle. "I ask, you answer, bar, if you have the guts." With a bang, red and white splashed. Amon was in no mood to listen to her cruel words, so he stomped her head to pieces anyway. There are still many people, and he can always ask. After Amon killed the woman without changing his expression, he set his sights on a middle-aged man not far away. This time, it seemed much smoother. The middle-aged man answered Amon's questions very respectfully, and while answering, he would look at the headless body lying on the ground from time to time. Obviously, the woman was also the type that was not easy to mess with in this small town. "Brother, it's him who killed my sister." A voice came, and a great fighter came over surrounded by several fighters. Amon glanced at him, and before he said anything impolite, He showed a little momentum to him. The great fighter with a scar on his face first flashed a trace of shock, and then his expression immediately became humble, no longer as aggressive as at the beginning. The starlight on the lens flowed, and a starlight sank into the body of a fighter with slightly higher strength. Beside the great fighter at a speed that people present could hardly react to. Amon did not waste time on them and walked towards the map store. He asked about Point. After walking down a street, turning left at a three-way intersection, and continuing forward for about 100 meters, he came to the door of a somewhat shabby shop. After entering, Amon looked at the shop owner for a few times. This was an old man over 50 years old with grey hair. He wore a pair of glasses and was drawing on a piece of parchment on the table. When he found someone coming in, he immediately stood up to greet them. "Welcome, sir. What do you need?" After all, not all the map sellers are called Hayboden. This is just an ordinary fighter. I need a map of the Blackhorn region. The more detailed you have, the better, Amon said with a smile. The shop owner smiled a little more and became more enthusiastic. "This is a big customer, guest. I don't have a map of the entire Blackhorn region. After all, the Blackhorn region is so big, and I'm just a small shop. It doesn't matter. Just take out what you have." The shop owner took out several long boxes from under the counter, which contained maps made of animal skins. Amon paid the money and completed the transaction. When he was about to leave the store, the boss suddenly said, "Guest, the Blackhorn region is very large, and black storms blow from time to time, which makes it very easy to get lost. If you are caught in it, even a Dalwang strongman will be in danger. Maybe you can find a caravan and travel with them, so that you can have someone to take care of you on the road." "I see." Amon nodded. He left the store and walked out of the town without following the advice of the map shop owner. "Let's go, I'm in a hurry." The dancing corpse crow returned to its huge size, and Amon flipped over and jumped onto the crow's back. The dancing corpse crow quickly rose into the air and flew deeper into the black domain. Plain. Half a day later, Amon, sitting on the bird's back, suddenly turned his head and looked to the left. In the distance, as far as the eye could see, there was a dark mass. A huge cyclone connecting the sky and the earth was like a rolling bowling ball, rotating and moving forward. It seemed slow, but it was actually moving quickly from far to near. "I can't hide anymore. The atmosphere is too wide." The dancing corpse crow spoke in human language. "Black storm. Then dig a hole in the ground to hide." After landing on the ground, Amon stretched out his right hand, spread his palm, and a green flame gushed out. The terrifying high temperature melted the earth and burned a deep and narrow cave. Amon walked into the cave, and the corpse crow followed behind him. Soon after they entered the cave, the black storm suddenly descended. The strong wind blew, sweeping everything on the ground into the sky. In this endless storm, the outlines of trees, rocks, and some small animals can be vaguely seen. This is why there is no permanent settlement in the central area of the Black Domain Plain. Amon took a slightly simplified map covering most of the Blackhorn domain and thought in his heart. Putting away the map, he watched the strong wind blowing from the cave entrance with interest. In the darkness, there was a faint black fog floating by. "Did you see it?" Amon raised his right hand and touched the bottom edge of his monocle with the knuckles of his index finger. "Well, it's a monster." The corpse dance crow jumped to his side and stroked the eye socket on his right eye with his right wing. A ray of starlight emerged from Amon's body, and a Dalwang level spirit insect was suspended in the air. It was surrounded by shining light. In the light, the simple outline of a person was slowly outlined. The light gradually faded, but the figure became clearer and clearer. Finally, an Amon who looked the same as the original appeared at the entrance of the cave. He used his fighting spirit to condense a black robe, a soft hat, and a monocle. "Go and get in touch with the GG monster. If you can, join the Soul Palace." The original Amon looked at the clone in front of him with a gentle smile on his face. The clone Amon tutted, "Why don't you go by yourself?" "Because it's dangerous. You might die, so I have to ask you for help." Amon's mouth curled up and outlined a smile. "Hardship for the clone, right?" This Amon muttered, looking a little reluctant. However, he did not refuse the original's request after all. After complaining for a while, he restrained his emotions, pinched his monocle, put on a smile at the corner of his mouth, condensed his fighting spirit wings, and flew in the direction where the black fog drifted away. With his Daowang level strength, it would not be too difficult to resist the black storm. As long as he did not stay in the storm for a long time, there would not be too much danger. 10 minutes later, he finally caught up with the black fog that was in no hurry to travel. Amon smiled and said loudly, "Protector, please stay." The black fog stopped and shrank a little, revealing a vague figure. He laughed his signature laugh. "Hehe, you have followed me for so long. Why? If you don't tell me the reason, then your soul will belong to me." Chapter 394 Soul Palace Temporary Worker Amon. With a sincere smile on his face, Amon said politely but not condescendingly, "Excuse me, sir, is this the protector of the Soul Palace? Boy, you have some knowledge. In this corner of the world, not many people know about my Soul Palace. The name of Soul Palace is as loud as thunder. I have admired your organization for a long time. I wonder if I would be honored to join?" Amon asked. "Join my Soul Palace? You?" The Soul Palace protector looked Amon up and down and shook his head. "You don't overestimate your abilities. As a Daozang, I'm just the lowest level human protector in the Soul Palace. If you want to join the Soul Palace, you must have the strength of a Dao Emperor at the very least. There is a high possibility of becoming a Daozang. You, a little fighting king, are not qualified. Then, can I work for you first? Be a temporary worker first. When I'm qualified, you will recommend me to join." Amon's smile did not change. "Working for me? Do you know what the goal of my Soul Palace is?" the Soul Palace protector asked. Amon shook his head. "How can I know that? But I heard that our Soul Palace is catching souls everywhere, so I think you must also have a certain amount of tasks. Why don't you accept this kid? I'm willing to help you." Before I agreed, you used our Soul Palace. The protector muttered in his heart. He took a certain interest in this familiar little fighting king and smiled arrogantly. "You mean you're here to collect souls for me?" "Yes, this doesn't seem to be a difficult task." The boy is confident that he can complete it. Amon smiled confidently. "Not difficult. If it wasn't difficult, I wouldn't have to break my leg every year." "Oh, this job is not that easy. In order to collect souls, I have to travel to many places every year." A look of confusion appeared on Amon's face. "If you want to collect souls, don't you just kill people? If it doesn't work in a small town, then it's a city. If it doesn't work in a city, then it's a country." Seeing him saying words in the most innocent tone that made him feel chills running down his back, the protector of the Soul Palace twitched his face. This kid must be suffering from some serious illness. Naturally, the Guardians understand such a simple principle, but no one would do it. Nowadays, collecting the souls of the dead and hunting down some powerful men who don't have much involvement are also disgusted, but due to the power of the Soul Palace, they can only tolerate it. But this does not mean that Soul Palace can challenge the bottom line of all forces unscrupulously. If Amon did as he said, the Soul Palace might become a public enemy of the entire continent and be attacked by a group of people. In addition, because there are too many targets involved, it is likely to attract some old monsters. They can't afford to offend the Soul Palace, but killing a small guardian is still okay. Therefore, even people from the Soul Palace would not engage in massacres that were too widespread unless absolutely necessary. You are too extreme. Although we in the Soul Palace are not good people, we are not that crazy. The Guardian of the Soul Palace tried to correct Amon's thoughts and make him a little normal. Unexpectedly, Amon made a sound and cast a slightly contemptuous look. The protector of the Soul Palace's forehead jumped, and his voice was slightly cold. "If you want to collect souls, you must first learn the secret method of capturing souls. After capturing the souls, you must also have a special soul bag to store them. The soul binding secret method is worth 2 Daohuang souls. This allows you to pay off slowly when you do things for me in the future. After all, this is what is needed for doing things, but you have to pay a corresponding price for the soul bag. A soul bag is worth the soul of a Daohuang. Are you ready to pay this price?" Although Amon has just been promoted to Daohuang, his soul power is extremely powerful. He has reached the peak of the mortal realm and is about to touch the threshold of the spiritual realm. His body's volume will be larger than that of a normal 1-star Daohuan. The clone's body is up to 1/10 the size of the main body and cannot reach the level of Daohuan, but the soul is different. A spiritual insect that gave up its body and completely specialized its soul. Its strength was even higher than that of most ordinary 1-star fighting emperors for Amon. This price was negligible, but he couldn't immediately take out a spiritual insect to pay the bill, so he could only pretend to be in pain, gently touch Neji with his right hand, and take out a 6th level magic core point. This book is from Yan Jin's collection and was used by Amon. When you go out, you must prepare some money. I don't have Daohuan soul now. Is this okay? Oh, the 6th level magic core is not bad. Since you can pay this price, then I will reluctantly accept you. The 6th level magic core is nothing to him, a strong warrior from the Daozang, but if a Dao King can take out this thing, it is enough to prove that this Dao King is not a simple person. Amon flicked his right hand and threw the magic core to the protector and then said respectfully, "Thank you so much for your appreciation, protector. I wonder what you call the protector." Just call me Protector Zio. Here, this is my spare soul bag. Protector Zio threw a small black bag to Amon. Amon took the soul bag and looked through it without hiding his curiosity. The soul bag feels cold to the touch, somewhat like silk, and has an unpretentious appearance. It looks like an ordinary bag, but the soul power cannot be scanned out. Protector Zio then reminded, "You must take good care of it. This soul bag is the foundation of our soul palace. If it is damaged and the task volume is not up to standard, the consequences will be serious. In addition, this thing is also a token of our soul palace. If you meet other protectors, showing this thing can reduce the probability that they will attack you. The soul bag has an upper limit. The one in your hand can probably store the equivalent of 2 Daozang souls at most, but you probably don't have the chance to fill it up." I see. Amon nodded. The owl guardian formed seals with his hands, and a mysterious and complex seal appeared in the air. Go. The black seal turned into a black light and sank into Amon's chest, forming a light black complex pattern on his chest. This is the mark of this guardian, which has a positioning function. In addition, it is also a protection for you. If other guardians still attack you after sensing your mark, it is a provocation to me, which is more effective than the soul bag identifying the identity of my own people. The owl guardian paused for a moment and then said, "The scrolls of the soul binding secret method are all one time and need to be exchanged at the branch hall. I don't have it on hand. Where will you be in a month? I'll send it to you. Near Cannon College, Hepping Town." Amon replied. Upon hearing the location, the owl guardian frowned and was obviously afraid of Cannon College. He said, "Then let's go to Black Wine City, which is not far from Hepping Town. We'll meet in Black Wine City in a month." "Thank you, Guardian. I hope you can give me a surprise. You've spent so much energy on this Guardian. If you can't satisfy me, you know the consequences." The owl guardian laughed sinisterly. "Of course." Amon nodded gently. Chapter 395. My name is Zhao Mingru. Although Yan Jin could also contact the Guardian Wu, the latter seemed to have more arrangements for Yan Jin, and even did not set him a task target, so that he could focus on breaking through Daozang Point. So it was necessary to join the soul hole through another channel and another form. The Black Storm passed, and the Guardian Zio also left with the Black Storm Point, returning to the cave, where the main body was hiding. Amon's clone smiled and said, "Lucky, this Guardian is easier to talk to." Amon stroked his monocle and whispered, "He seems to be using the cover of the Black Storm to kill people, pretending that they died because of the Black Storm. After all, even the Blackhorn region would not welcome such an organization that aims to kill people and hunt for human souls." The corpse dance crow said in a hoarse voice. Soul Hall. Amon played with the soul bag and said, "No wonder the Black Storm is so dangerous and scary. It turns out that it is more of a human factor. I'll leave the Guardian's IO to you. After all, you have been marked. Let's keep our distance in the future." The main body Amon said calmly. Soul Hall Amon tutted and said nothing. Amon and the corpse dance crow were on the road again. After a few days of flying, the black color of the land below gradually faded and some villages and towns appeared. The black region plains fell behind them and they officially entered the Black Horn region. There are flight bans over some big cities. Flying over these places recklessly will be considered a provocation to the local ruling forces, so Amon took some detours and tried to avoid these forces. The fallen heart flame was his primary goal. In the inner courtyard of Cannon College, a girl wearing a black training suit and a charming face was sitting on the top of a building, looking ahead boredly. She turned her head, as if she had a feeling, and looked into the distance. "Ah, you here? It's been a long time since we last met. Original body." She unconsciously raised her right hand to pinch her eye sockets, but stopped abruptly in midair, curbing the action. "Hey, Xiao Meng, I'm going to dig for treasure in the mountains. Are you going?" A girl in white waved her hand and shouted below. Xiao Meng shook her head. "I have something to do recently, so I don't have time to play with you." "Oh, so, okay then." The girl in white left with a little disappointment. Amon on the corpse dance raven curled his lips and smiled. TSK, in that direction. With the help of the connection between Xiao Meng and Xiao Meng, he located the position of the inner courtyard of Cannon College in the first time. It was different from the location of Cannon College marked on the map, and it was located in the endless mountains. His eyes flickered slightly, and he hesitated for a moment. He did not go directly through the vast mountains, but rushed to the peace town marked on the map. He wanted to take down the fallen heart flame of Cannon College, but he was still unable to do so with his current strength. His first goal was the juvenile stage strange fire in the magma deep underground. However, it was not easy to find the juvenile stage strange fire. It was isolated by the space barrier left by the Skyfire Venerable, and could not be sensed by ordinary means in the original novel. Xiao Yan also found it, by relying on the special induction between the two fallen heart flames. Amon was not sure about his luck, so he had to make preparations. If he could find the heart flame, it would be a good thing and he could easily achieve his goal point. If he could not find it, he would attack the mature fallen heart flame, which required a certain layout. Hepping Town is the first town in the Black Horn region to enter the vicinity of Cannon College. As the name suggests, Hepping Town is a peaceful town. Of course, it is not an absolute peace. Some conflicts are inevitable, but they are often controlled to a certain extent, unlike the Black Horn region, where life and death are easily determined. The corpse dance crow lowered its altitude, and Amon jumped off the bird's back, with his legs slightly bent to remove the impact. A spirit worm drilled out of his body, and turned into a human form in a starlight. Amon's body turned into the magic beast form of the spirit worm, and merged into the body of the clone. The spirit of the original body and the clone is in a highly connected state, so it is actually Amon's original body that controls the words and deeds of this body. The corpse crow flapped its wings and landed on Amon's shoulder. Amon walked slowly towards the town, located at the angle between two majestic peaks. He observed the pedestrians passing by on the lowest road that led directly to the town. Before they arrived at Hepping Town, they began to deliberately restrain their murderous aura and try to put aside the Black Horn territory style of doing things, so as not to fail to restrain themselves for a while after entering Hepping Town and be expelled by the Cannon College law enforcement team after killing people, and even more seriously, they would be killed on the spot. Along the lowest road with lush trees on both sides, Amon slowly approached Hepping Town. The closer he got to the town, the softer the faces of the pedestrians became. At the intersection of Hepping Town, Amon stopped slightly and admired the dead tree with dozens of corpses hanging next to the town for a while. The dead spirit tree is just an ordinary tree with a rather strange appearance and twisted branches, but it is famous for hanging corpses all year round. It was hung by the people of Cannon College to deter the lawless thugs coming from the Black Horn region. The effect is also very significant. Those pedestrians who try their best to restrain their murderous intentions are the best embodiment of the deterrent effect. When they walked into the town, before they walked far, more than a dozen figures stopped Amon and some other people who entered with him. They are the law enforcement team of Cannon College. They are all wearing light blue clothes and wearing a blue badge on their chests. A bloody dagger is engraved on the badge. The leader of the dozen people asked the entrants to identify themselves and take a light red pill in a calm tone. He explained, "This is not a poison, but a pill that can sense murderous intent. If someone has murderous intent, then red light will emerge from their body. We will expel those who emit red light." A burst of red light suddenly lit up from the young man who had just taken the pill. "Yes, that's it." The leader of the law enforcement team looked at the red light in front of him and said subconsciously. Then he reacted, stepped back, quickly distanced himself, and stared solemnly at the outsider in front of him who was emitting red light. This is a young man with black hair, brown eyes, thin body, ordinary facial features, deep contours, and wearing ordinary linen clothes. Amon did not use his own appearance. He used his shaping ability to make some changes. The murderous aura sensing pill will automatically adjust the color depth of the red light it emits according to the intensity of a person's murderous aura. At this time, the red light on Amon's body was so intense that it seemed to drip blood, and it was a little black. This naturally aroused the high vigilance of the Cannon College law enforcement team. They had been doing law enforcement work for so long, but this was the first time they encountered this color. A person with such a huge murderous aura must not be simple, so the leader of the law enforcement team did not take action directly, but said in a tactful but firm tone, "My friend, please leave. We are not welcome in Hepping Town." Before he finished speaking, the red light on Amon's body quickly faded. He showed a warm smile and said politely, "I'm sorry, I heard your introduction and was curious for a while, so I tried it. I hope I didn't cause you any trouble. My name is Zhao Mingru. Excuse me, can I go in now?" Chapter 396 Enrollment. The leader of the law enforcement team fell into silence. The opponent did not have any murderous intention now, but the rich black red light just now could not be faked. This is a ruthless man who controls his murderous intent to the point where he can send and receive it freely. It is not easy to do this. Otherwise, those who want to enter Peace Town will not start adjusting their status all the way on the road. For such people, the murderous aura induction pill will have no effect at all, because the opponent will not have any warning before actually killing someone. The leader of this law enforcement team was in trouble for a while. The rest of the people who wanted to enter Hepping Town couldn't help but marvel and watched the excitement one by one. "Hey, I've long been unhappy with those pills. These little turtles are really in trouble. Keep your voice down. Don't be heard. Just listen if you hear it." His words stopped suddenly because a member of the law enforcement team looked over. The big man snorted twice and stopped talking. After a long time, the captain of the law enforcement team finally spoke in a deep voice, "My friend, can you tell me your intention of coming to Peace Town? Although you are now qualified to enter Peace Town, the scene just now made me afraid to let you go. I came to join Cannon College. Due to some reasons, I missed the last enrollment, so I came here on my own." Amon smiled. "Come here by yourself? Did you cross the Black Angle territory alone?" There was a hint of surprise on the squad leader's face. He knew the danger level of the Black Corner territory clearly. Even he did not dare to stay alone in the Black Corner territory for too long. In that kind of place, even a fighting spirit or even a strong fighting king might be plotted and die in some corner. If they are not careful, then you came at the wrong time. It's still some time before the next enrollment. The team leader shook his head. "Is this a problem?" Amon's smile remained unchanged. "Maybe. It's not a problem. My name is Ned. I'm the captain of the 4th team of the law enforcement team, and I'm also a yellow level instructor in the academy. What is your current level of cultivation?" The team leader became interested and introduced himself. I vaguely felt that I might have found a treasure. Maybe I could rely on him to get a Zuan level professional title and get a higher salary. Amon showed a trace of this clone's aura, and the pressure of the fighting spirit made Ned take a step back, opened his mouth, and was speechless for a moment. Dowling, "Study. I'm afraid I won't graduate just after enrolling, right? Are you really here to learn?" Our Cannon College, the requirement for recruiting students is not only to reach the 8th level of Dao Ki before the age of 18, but also has a limit on the maximum age, which cannot exceed 25 years old. Ned's tone unconsciously contained a hint of emotion, a hint of respect. In Dao Ki continent, strength is respected. Ned was only an 8-star fighting master. When facing Amon, whose cultivation level was one level higher than his own, it was normal for him to maintain a little respect when the two sides were not hostile. Age, probably a teenager. I don't remember this clearly. Teenagers. As soon as Amon said these words, there was a sound of air conditioning around him. Hiss a teenage spirit fighting expert. So scary. Many of the other members of the law enforcement team were NED students, and their eyes were filled with shock at this moment. Point being able to join Canon Academy, their talents are naturally not weak. In their respective hometowns, they can also be regarded as outstanding talents. However, compared with the young man in front of them, the gap is simply wider than that between a human and a dog. Point they didn't have much doubt, and no one would tell such a lie, that they could easily judge whether it was true or false with just a test. Point they looked at each other and could see the meaning in each other's eyes. My class is about to welcome a junior student. Point the instructor will definitely not let such a talented person go, even though he may not be in the class for long, before he goes to the inner courtyard. But it always takes some time. Point. If you can get to know the other person while he is still practicing in an outer courtyard, even if the relationship cannot be deep, it would be good to have a nod of acquaintance. Point some are already thinking about what Amon lacks and what they can do for him without any expense, so as to leave an impression in front of this future strongman. Point Ned also became enthusiastic, with a sincere smile on his face. There is definitely no problem. If little brother has time, we can find a place to chat in detail. It's not what I asked for. Amon nodded slightly. Point they didn't go far and were in a tea shop nearby. Point Ned must stay at the scene, otherwise the team members, who at best have only the strength of a fighting master, may not be able to suppress the scene. Point the waiter brought a pot of tea and added a cup for each of them. Sir, please take your time. If you need anything, just ask. Ned looked at Amon and said softly, Canon College usually misses the admissions season, so you have to wait for the next year, but there are always exceptions to everything. The college has given teachers the power to recruit students through special recruitment. There is no time limit for special recruitment, and there is no need to pass assessments. As long as the age meets the requirements, students can enroll directly. This can be regarded as a benefit given by the college to teachers. Amon nodded in understanding. Can you directly recruit your relatives and friends, or make deals with others and collect rewards? Ned smiled and said, yes, the admission quota to Canon College is still very popular. There are many children from families who are not as talented as they are and are willing to pay a big price in exchange. Each teacher has a limited number of special recruitment places, 1 teacher per year for Huang level professional titles, and 2 teachers per year for Zuan level professional titles. As I said before, I'm also a yellow level teacher in the college, and my quota for this year has not been used up yet. Already, 3 families have sent people to discuss with me, but if you want to enter the academy, I can give you this place. To be honest, I also hope that you can be my student. Well, with your strength, I can't teach you anything. Not just me, but probably all the teachers in the outer courtyard can't teach you anything. With your current strength, even if you go to the inner courtyard, you should be among the best. Amon raised his right hand, pinched his monocle, and chuckled. Do you need me to give anything? Ned laughed dumbly. It's not that you have to pay anything, but that I'm asking you to come to my class. If your talent is a little bit different, even if you are better than the average student, if you want to get a place in the special recruitment, you have to show something. But if you are like this, then the situation is completely reversed. Whoever accepts you as a student will definitely be able to get a Zuan level rating. There will be 2 places in the coming year. In addition, the professional title will also be improved. There are other benefits too than inviting me to your class. Should you pay something? Amon had a clear smile on his face. Ned's expression was stagnant. He rubbed his forehead helplessly and said, how can you, a genius fighting spirit expert, still value the wealth of an ordinary great fighting master like me? Can the information I just mentioned be counted as my contribution? That's enough. Then, please give me more advice, mentor. Amon stood up, bowed slightly, and gave a polite half salute. Ned was quite flattered. After all, He didn't dare to think of himself as a teacher who had met him for the first time and had more cooperative relationships than other spirit fighting teachers. He called 2 students. "You guys, send classmate Zhao Mingru to Cannon City and get settled." Then, he turned his head and looked at Amon. "You go to Cannon City and wait for a day. After I hand over the job in the evening, I will take you to go through the enrollment procedures. Is that okay?" "Okay." Amon agreed. Chapter 397 The Witch of Cannon Academy. Riding a griffin and following 2 senior students, they arrived at an extremely vast city point. Even from a high altitude, it is difficult to see the whole thing at a glance. It's so majestic. Is this the city of Cannon? Amon thought of his utopia in Douluo, and a trace of nostalgia flashed in his eyes. "Junior, after we send you to the city, you have to return to Hepping Town. You can't leave for too long while on duty. You can walk around in Cannon City by yourself first. The instructor will come back in the evening, and then you can go to Huangji by yourself. Just go find him in class 7. Another student said, "This Cannon City is quite big, so don't get lost." "Thank you, senior. I understand." Amon jumped off the griffin's back. "Junior, Zhao." One person's expression changed drastically, thinking that a high altitude accident had occurred. However, when I saw that Amon turned over and the speed of his fall slowly slowed down, I remembered that he was a strong fighting spirit. He could already stay in the air for a short period of time with his fighting spirit. Falling from this height was not a problem at all. They looked at Amon, who had turned into a small black dot in their field of vision. With envy and yearning in their eyes, Amon landed on the ground, bent one leg slightly to relieve the strength, caressed his chest, smoothed out the wrinkles, and walked towards the city point. The guard at the door watched him jump from the air and saw the griffin slowly walking away. Knowing that he was a student of the college, he waved his hand and let him go without even asking a routine question. Amon wandered aimlessly in the city point for a long time before his body was hiding in the mountains and forests in the form of monster. Later, the initial stage of accumulation of strength was completed, and he planned to seize Furukawa's transformation pill. After successfully possessing the human form, he was busy with King Lian's inner fire, and he did not dare to slack off. In order to accumulate strength to break through the Daohuang, he has not lived normally in human society for a long time. It was rare to relax at this moment, which made him feel like he was in another world. "Well, I'm indeed a human being. It feels good to be human again." Amon whispered to himself. The crowds coming and going, the vendors hawking along the street, the young men and women holding each other's arms and playing together. A sense of belonging to a human being made the inhuman indifference in his eyes lessened, and then quickly covered up. "Man, don't worry about it. With your strength, you still want to take advantage of my cousin? You're not going to drink the wine as a penalty." A voice came, and Amon felt a little familiar. Looking around, I saw a young man leading several people to beat another young man. The leading boy was the weakest among the group, but he was arrogant. Amon recognized this person as Zhao. Although he has never been to Yutan City in person, the postman Amon sent by Yumeng to deliver the news packaged and sent his memories directly to the body through spiritual connection. So he did not care about the people in Yutan City. Strangeness. Amon showed a hint of surprise. In his memory, before Zhao Yan came to Cannon College, except for Zuna, the others didn't seem to be doing too well, at least not to the extent that he could lead a large group of students with higher cultivation levels than himself to beat up another person. "I won't give up, Zioning. I just like Xiaomei. Even if you beat me to death here today, I will still say this." The beaten boy was covered in injuries, but his mouth was still tough. "Then, I'll beat you again and again, until you give up." A trace of cruelty flashed across Zioning's face. "HMPH, you are also a waste who only knows how to bully others. If you didn't have the witch in the inner courtyard to support you, you would be nothing." Ma Yan said angrily. "The witch in the inner courtyard?" Amon was thoughtful. Ignoring the small dispute between Zioning and the others, he continued to wander until it was almost evening. Before heading towards Cannon College, he called a carriage, which cost a little more, but was worth every penny. The interior of the carriage was very clean and smelled lightly of incense. The cart is pulled by a first-level magical beast called Green-Hoofed Horse, which is docile and easy to tame. The city of Cannon occupies a vast area and the roads are very wide. There are special carriages for this kind of monster. Guest, where are you going? Cannon College. The carriage started running, speeding down the driveway. Before the sun set, Amon arrived at the gate of the academy. Instructor Ned was already waiting here. He was looking around, looking a little anxious. Amon is related to whether he can get a higher professional title and his future income. Long wait. Teacher Ned. Amon nodded in greeting. You came just in time, and I just arrived. A stone fell in Ned's heart. He rushed over as soon as the handover of duties was completed and had been waiting for some time, but he still smiled kindly and showed no impatience at this moment. Stable, promotion and salary increase. Right now, the two walked towards the vice dean's office. On the way, Amon asked in a casual tone, if you want to enter the inner court, can you only pass the annual selection? Is there a faster way? Ned shook his head subconsciously, then suddenly stopped. He held his chin, organized his words, and replied, originally, there was no such thing, but about 2 months ago, the witch from the second class of Huangji was directly promoted from the outer courtyard to the inner courtyard. He paused, looked at Amon, then shook his head slightly and said, although you are already a darling at a young age, it is impossible to replicate her method. Amon frowned and asked with a smile, what did she do? Ned's tone became a little weird and he responded, she has been doing fine for more than 2 years, since she entered school. Some time ago, she suddenly went crazy and said that her master Zhao Yan was coming to Cannon College. Master Zhao Yan is a person who easily attracts trouble. In order to help his master Zhao Yan reduce trouble, she will beat up all the students. After defeating him, no one will go to Master Zhao Yan of trouble. Then, she really beat up all the students. The college itself encourages healthy competition among students, but what she did was too outrageous, so the elders of the outer college had to intervene. What's even more outrageous is, she also beat up the elder Daowang who came to stop her. She forced the vice dean to take action, and threw her directly into the inner courtyard. Amon, Ned said somewhat narrowly, it's funny to say that the only ones who were originally hostile to the master Zhao Yan she called him were the suitors of Zhao Zuna and the witch. Because of her making such a fuss, Master Zhao Yan has almost become the public enemy of all students. I don't know how many people are eager to beat him up to vent their anger. TSK, I don't know what kind of person this Master Zhao Yan is. He actually has 2 proud girls falling in love with him. I don't know if he has the real materials to face the storm after entering school. At the end of the sentence, Ned's tone contained a hint of expectation that it would not be too big of a deal. To watch the excitement. Amon clicked his tongue and said nothing. He was a little surprised. What was surprising was not that Zhao Meng would do such a thing, but that she could actually defeat an elder with the strength of a Daowang with the body of a Dowling. The elders of Cannon College are not some parallel imports who are forced to come up with pills. They all have real materials. Amon's own body does not have such leapfrog combat power. He pinched his monocle, showing an interesting expression. It seems that Zhao Meng can also bring me some unexpected surprises. The leapfrog combat ability is very good. Well, I want it. Chapter 398 Talent Test. Amon followed Ned to the vice dean's office. An old man with white hair and beard is sitting on a jade futon, breathing in the energy of heaven and earth. With each breath, a large amount of energy floating between heaven and earth entered his breath with the airflow. This kind of power is very close to the situation when Yan Jin breathes. The door was not closed, and he didn't seem to mind others disturbing him in this state. However, Ned still stood aside with Amon and waited. He made a hissing gesture to Amon, indicating that he should not make a sound. The old man ended a cycle of going around the sky and stopped exercising. The flow of energy between heaven and earth returned to normal, and the airflow in the room also stopped. Come in, I told you. Just talk about it if you have something to do. I'm not practicing in depth, and it won't be affected if I'm disturbed. The old man had a faint smile on his face. How dare you do this? Ned responded hurriedly, and then he respectfully explained his purpose. Deputy Dean, this is my new student. He comes through the special recruitment channel, and comes to your place for a test. Who? Kyan glanced at Amon suspiciously, then looked at Ned, and said in a strange tone, him? You? Are you more of a student of his? Ned was embarrassed and didn't know how to answer the question, so he could only stand aside and giggle. Ukan didn't mean to make things difficult for him and shook his head to himself. Forget it, as long as it complies with the rules. That girl Ruelin took in a freak before and even beat an elder to death. I have learned a lot. Let's take a test. Although the level of cultivation is not required, it must be recorded. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and a light blue translucent crystal ball, as if it contained blue lake water, shone brightly in the light and said, "This is an advanced test crystal. If you input Dao Key into it, it will show your specific level. Don't worry about breaking the crystal ball. It can detect the strongest Dao Wang." Amon stretched out his right hand and touched the test crystal with his palm. There was a warm touch with a little heat in the palm of my hand. He poured fighting energy into it. The blue crystal began to bloom with bright yellow light, and the light quickly turned to white, then to cyan, and finally to black, and then it stopped changing colors. 8 lines appear on the surface of the crystal, spinning constantly, like ribbons spinning in a dance. 8. Start owling. Who? Khan's expression changed, and he took a breath of cold air. He looked at Amon and marveled. There are geniuses every year, but there are so many this year. There was the witch before, and now there is your boy. Let's see if that tomboy of mine still dares to continue to be so arrogant. Previously, Khan could vaguely perceive the vague strength of Amon's clone, and could not accurately judge the level. Therefore, after the real test results came out, he was still very surprised. Ned looked at Amon, his face full of horror. If an 8-star fighting spirit entered the inner courtyard, it would probably take 3 to 5 years to reach the realm of the fighting king. What a terrifying talent is this. Surprisingly, how old are you? Khan asked. Amon shook his head. I'm not sure. I haven't paid much attention to him since he was born, but he should be no more than 20 years old. Khan nodded, took out a black stone, and said, "It's still the same as before. Just input the fighting spirit. It can show your age." Amon input fighting energy again, and the black stone emitted a white light. The light was about 12 inches. Khan looked at Amon blankly, as if he had seen a ghost. Ned's eyes widened, and he suspected that he hadn't woken up yet. 10. 12 years old? What the hell? A 12-year-old Dowling. I'm afraid it would be difficult to find another one in the entire Daoki continent, right? Even those legendary ancient races may not have such talent. Different from the age of the parasitic host shown during Xiaomeng's test, Amon showed the age of his spiritual insect clone. In order not to appear so shocking, he deliberately chose a longer spirit insect that has existed since the early days of time travel, and can be regarded as the elder among the clones. However, although it has been restrained, it still seems a bit shocking. Looking at the dumbfounded looks on Khan and Ned's faces, one could tell that the talent they were showing now was a bit beyond their scope. So Amon explained, "I have a trace of the blood of a magical beast. This kind of magical beast has a different growth cycle from humans. It grows extremely quickly during its infancy to cope with dangers from the outside world. When you reach adulthood, your cultivation speed will slow down. Without special opportunities, it is almost impossible to improve further." Oh, that's it. Khan showed a hint of regret. Most of what Amon said was true. The original black feather butterfly grew rapidly before reaching adulthood, and then slowed down like a cliff. The spirit worm also inherited this characteristic. But his adult time is 1,000 years. If Amon had not created his unique method of accelerating growth by eating clones and practiced step by step, he would have reached the limit of his potential after 1,000 years as a unique magical beast bred by the power of heaven and earth. Amon is special enough. His talent is more reflected in the strangeness of his abilities and the fact that there is no bottleneck before he can reach Dao Sheng. The slow growth rate is what restricts him. His natural growth rate is not much faster than alien fire. Although his potential ceiling is higher than that of ordinary people. That's all. His talent ends at 1-star Dao Sheng, and further improvement requires his own acquired opportunities. But how can Amon really practice step by step? Before, he practiced honestly on his own, but because his strength was too weak, even if he had any ideas, it was difficult to take action. When he had a certain strength as a basis, the situation was different. This time he came to Canon Academy to seek the fallen heart flame. In order to prepare a trump card for himself, before going to the northern continent, point boys should also protect themselves when they go out. Amon's combat power belongs to the weakest echelon among the same level, not much better than those who are forced to improve. Point he has no practice method, and his fighting spirit is still the most primitive non-attribute fighting spirit. The fighting skills are only those shared by Yan Jin. Amon, who does not have the wind attribute, will be far behind when he uses it. Point therefore, he needs an attack method to make up for the problem of insufficient combat power. Different fire is the best choice. My classmate, don't be discouraged. Even if your cultivation speed slows down after you become an adult, you are now at a height that many people can hardly reach in their lifetime. It is not a problem to work hard to improve 1 or 2 levels. In the future, you may become a Daohuan or even a Daozang. I hope our Canon College can help you on your way to the peak of your life. I also hope that you can continue to work hard, make continuous progress, and become the pride of our Canon College. Who? Kyan saw Amon's words and encouraged him as he had misunderstood something as Amon expected. Point Amon looked firm. I will seize every minute and every second of the present and improve myself as quickly as possible. Even if my talent is exhausted in the future, I will not give up. There will always be a way. Who? Kyan stroked his beard with satisfaction on his face. As an educator, he admired those young people who are full of fighting spirit and vigor. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 399. Me. After testing his talent, Kyan looked at Amon with a smile. Classmate, you should have heard that our Canon College has an outer courtyard and an inner courtyard. Do you know the difference between the two? Amon raised his eyebrows. I would like to know the details. Who? Kyan stroked his beard and smiled. The outer courtyard is taught by our college teachers and practiced normally. In fact, there is not much difference from other places. And the inner courtyard is a real core of Canon College. It is where we cultivate top talents. It has a unique way of practice and a more special competition system. There is the Cradle of the Strong. Originally, if you want to go to the inner courtyard, you have to wait for the in-school selection in a few months. But since your time is so tight, I will make an exception for you and give you a chance. You only need to pass the test I arranged for you to go directly to the inner courtyard. You don't want to waste time in the outer courtyard, do you? Amon smiled and stroked his monocle. Don't you need to defeat a Daowang elder? I don't have such confidence. Kyan shook his head. No, you just need to fight with the elite students in the inner courtyard and defeat them. But if you enter the inner courtyard early, you will miss the reward for the top 5 in the selection. I will make up for it for you. I will arrange 3 opponents for you, and the reward will be determined based on the number of opponents you defeat. Amon bowed slightly and said respectfully, thank you, Vice Dean. Ned was a little uneasy. He rubbed his hands and said carefully to Kyan, Vice Dean, from now on, until he passes your test, he will be considered a student of our yellow grade class 7. Kyan looked at him with amusement and said, are you worried about your professional title rating? Ned smiled ingratiatingly. Don't worry, if you go from your class to the inner courtyard, you will definitely be able to reach the Zuan level next time you are rated. Kyan made a promise. Point seeing that his goal was achieved, Ned smiled sincerely. Thank you, Vice Dean. In the inner courtyard, in a remote house near the forest, a beautiful girl with delicate features was sitting on a chair, staring at the portrait hanging on the wall in front of her. If Xiao Yan was here, he would recognize that it was him at a glance. However, the man in the portrait was more mature than he is now. The room was full of items with Xiao Yan's pattern. In addition to the portrait of Xiao Yan in front, which was as tall as a person, there were also teacups, Xiao Yan pillows, and Xiao Yan Q version figurines printed with Q version of Xiao Yan. In short, there were Xiao Yan's marks everywhere, and he would call it outrageous if he came here himself. Master, Xiao Yan is so handsome. Master, Zhao Yan is so handsome. Master. Zhao Yan. Master. Zhao Yan. The spirit insect on the table beside him arched his body with a bit of confusion. Is this really okay? I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe not. Another one communicated with it. Forget it. Anyway, we should be able to report to the main body now. Our results are not bad. Well, it should have satisfied him. Zhao Meng continued to stare at the portrait in a daze, and the spirit insects whispered beside him. Knock. Knock knock knocked on the door, and the silly smile on Zhao Meng's face was restrained. He turned his head and looked at the door. Come in. An old man in a black robe walked in. Girl, go out and walk around occasionally. The connections you know in the academy are also one of your most valuable gains in Canon Academy. So, Kyan walked into her room and then froze. He stared at the layout of the room with a dull look, and his face twitched. How did you cultivate to the peak of Dowling and have such a strong combat power? I remember that you were only an 8-star Dowling before. It's outrageous. Elder Sukayan, what's the matter? Zhao Meng asked. Sukayan squeezed a smile on his face. Is this Zhao Yan really that good? When talking about Zhao Yan, Zhao Meng's eyes lit up. Of course, Master Zhao Yan is the best. Kyan shook his head when he saw her like this and felt sad for the countless students who worked hard to improve their Daoki cultivation. They worked hard, but it was not as fast as others who were obsessed with it. Zhao Meng's improvement in strength was naturally due to the fusion of more spirit insects behind every lazy Amon. There is a corresponding diligent Amon supporting him. I hope he really deserves your treatment. Let's not talk about this. Kyan found me and said that a good seedling came to the outer courtyard and hoped to go to a few elites in the inner courtyard to test him. Kyan said. Zhao Meng raised his eyebrows. You don't want me to go, do you? He's just a freshman. Anyway, he will be sent to the inner courtyard. Just go and fight with a few people casually. Kyan smiled and shook his head. This won't work. We can't let him look down on our inner courtyard elites. But this new student is indeed extraordinary and deserves our careful treatment. On the strong list, I'm afraid only you and Ziyan can suppress him, and the rest of the people may fail. Zhao Meng shook his head and said, I'm not interested. If someone loses, let the newcomer take his place on the strong list. It's such a simple thing. We can't let the new students think that our Canon Academy is just a name. We have to polish his arrogance. Besides, he came here on his own, not brought back by the elders who went out, so we can't let him look down on our academy. This can be regarded as the first lesson for him. Seeing Zhao Meng indifferent, Kyan said with a smile, if you become a trial officer, you will be rewarded with 500 days of fire energy. Really? Zhao Meng's expression changed. From lack of interest just now to eagerness. She looked solemn and said with full righteousness, as a member of Canon Academy, I have no choice but to contribute to the academy. Let me, the senior sister, teach the newcomer a good lesson. Seeing Zhao Meng's immediate change of attitude, Kyan was also at a loss for words. He stroked the ring on his index finger with his right thumb, and with a faint light, he took out a purple crystal card. Zhao Meng smiled and handed over her purple crystal card. Kyan put his card on her card and drew 500 days of fire energy point. After taking back his fire energy card, Zhao Meng narrowed his eyes and smiled as he looked at the number on it that had increased by another 500. I haven't seen you go to the heaven burning refining key tower to practice. What's the use of earning so much fire energy? Kyan asked curiously. Master Zhao Yan is coming soon. I'll save it for him. Zhao Meng put the purple crystal card in his arms with a happy smile on his face. Kyan. He was really puzzled. How amazing was this Master Zhao Yan that he could attract such a proud girl. By the way, the new student's name is Zhao Mingru. Kyan said casually and turned away. Behind him, the smile on Zhao Meng's face suddenly froze. Zhao Mingru, let me fight. Zhao Mingru. The spirit insects on the side opened their mouths and laughed silently. Chapter 400, a long-awaited reunion. When Amon first came to the Blackhorn territory, he showed a trace of his aura, notifying the clones of his arrival point. Then it was immediately cut off, unilaterally shielding the clone, so that he could sense the approximate position of the clone, but the clone could not sense himself in turn point, although Xiao Meng didn't know where he was now, or what he wanted to do. But at this time a person named Xiao Mingru came. Needless to say, this must be Amon. Maybe it's still the original body. Xiao Meng just wants to return the 500 fire energy. It's a pity that the Great Elder has gone away, and she has no valid reason. Oh, why don't you just make some money? Why is it so difficult? She wrinkled her face and looked listless. The spiritual insect on the table emerged from the hidden teapot and crawled to the edge of the table. You should expect to meet the main body. You also know what the main body's combat power is before forming its own system. In order to avoid revealing his secret, he will not suppress your combat power, nor will he use power beyond the level he reveals. In other words, you have the opportunity to beat him up right in the ring. This is one of the few opportunities. Listening to the spirit insect's bewitchment, Xiao Meng suddenly felt a little moved. All kinds of Amons will always have various ideas. It's normal to have a few people who want to watch the original version. Since he was about to enter the inner courtyard, Amon refused the dormitory that Ned wanted to assign him and found an inn not far from the main entrance of the college to stay. The inn that can be opened at the main entrance of canon colleges, naturally not low grade. Apart from the slightly expensive accommodation price, there are no other disadvantages. The interior is very neat and spotless. The furniture is made of fine bamboo and exudes a natural tree fragrance. After a night of practice, Amon opened the door, walked through the corridor, and came to the dining area in the lobby. On the first floor he saw an old man with a full head of white hair, but he didn't look old at all and was extremely energetic. Amon's pupils shrank. He had seen this old man before. When he was in Wutan City, he would hold a cup of tea every day and drink it from morning to night, staying not far from Xiao's house. This is Zuna's guardian. Spirituality directly reminded him that this old man was a very dangerous person. The old man's senses were very keen. Even if Amon just glanced at him, the other party looked over and nodded to Amon with a smile. Amon smiled back. Because there was no suitable reason, Amon did not move out immediately, otherwise it would only appear that he was guilty and attract greater attention. He pretended not to notice and went about his own business every day. The old man of the ancient tribe knew that Amon had noticed him, so he pretended not to notice. And everything was as usual. On the day when Hukan had scheduled the test, Amon paid the fee and walked to Canon College. Hey, Kit, you seem to have discovered something about me, the old man from the ancient tribe said. Well, I have a special bloodline, and I'm very sensitive to dangerous and powerful people. But don't you already know that, old sir? Amon said with a smile. The old man from the ancient tribe smiled. Haha, you are the first to notice me after living in the northwest of the mainland for so many years. It must be fate that Gaimang Shianchi has set up such an academy and made it look impressive, which makes me a little excited. Boy, I will keep an eye on you. If you behave well, maybe I can give you a blessing. Amon raised his eyebrows. Academy. Creation. The old gentleman wants to accept me as his disciple. You are quite perceptive, but it depends on your performance. If you perform well enough and get my approval, I can accept you as my disciple. I don't know how to behave well. Amon pondered for a moment and asked. The old man thought for a moment and replied, well, the time is almost up, so let's do it. There is a very special girl in the courtyard. Find her and protect her. If you can do it, you will pass. If you can't, then it's up to me. Feeling, I will try my best, old sir. Amon looked puzzled at first, then nodded, seemingly not worried about this pointless test. Looking at Amon's leaving figure, the old man had a smile on his face. Interesting boy. Armed with the Zhao Mingru appearance and wearing a monocle, the corners of Amon's mouth slowly raised, outlining a smile, and he murmured in his heart, TSK, this is to lure people into the house. The last person to do this was Xiao Yan. I didn't want to infiltrate the 8 ancient clans so early, well, except the Xiao family, but you have to pull me in yourself. Then I won't waste the opportunity. Amon came to a martial arts stage in the outer courtyard, where Ned was already waiting. There were a few students standing sparsely on both sides. Some of them were from the inner courtyard and some were from the outer courtyard. They heard about this trial from some channels and came to watch the battle. Khan's granddaughter Hujia, Wu Heo, who was very optimistic about the leader of the law enforcement team, also came, as did Beishan, Zuna and several other outstanding students from the outer academy. Hey, there are people who want to go straight to the inner courtyard when they first enter school. They are even more arrogant than Xiaomeng. Hujia was dressed in red, with her arms folded across her chest, and there was a hint of curiosity in her eyes. I just don't know what his strength is. Since the vice president specially set up this trial for him, he should have some strength. Beishan stood next to Hujia, dressed in white, looking elegant. On the other side, Wu Heo, wearing a blood-stained robe, looked at Amon, who had just come in with a murderous look, and said in a deep voice, "That man is so strong." Dressed in brown tights, Xiaomeng, who was beautiful and heroic, walked slowly from the other side. The faces of the students in the inner courtyard changed, and they began to whisper. The elder even called her over. "Does he think that brother Liu King is not safe? It's this newcomer so strong. It's unnecessary." The students in the inner courtyard are also aware of the general arrangement of this kind of trial. Often, an unbeatable opponent is placed at the end to polish the arrogance of the newcomer and let him know that there are people better than him. Xiaomeng. Hujia waved at Xiaomeng. "I'm so lonely at night when you're not here. Get lost. I'm not interested in women." Xiaomeng glanced at the lesbian girl unhappily. "What's so good about those stinky men? Isn't it good for us to live together?" Hujia muttered. Xiaomeng ignored her and looked at Zhao Mingru with a solemn expression. It's the real body. The Zhao Mingru wearing a monocle must be Amon, and there is a special induction between Amons. Only the real body can block this induction. Seeing Xiaomeng looking at him, Amon slowly raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a somewhat evil smile. He raised his right hand and pinched the monocle. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.